it's who we are. Nona, the African touch, the fused African melodies, lyrics, nini. So it's who we are.
Okay, sawa sawa, karibu sana. I would like to hear one last thing. What inspires you? What inspires the work that you do?
We're inspired by different things. Kuna certain artists, na bado passion bado. Ni vitu mob tu.
Awesome. Take up the stage. Karibu sana ni Urban.
Yes. Mambele.
Hello. Sasa ni
Poa.
mko fiti? Mmeshiba.
Sit kwa power.
Si mmengevya but mko fiti. Mmechangamka. Mimi niko poa, niko power.
Mimi niko poa pia.
Nicodemus, Colas.
So give it up for Tony on the guitar.
Kuna hii song tulimba asubuhi, sijui kama mnaikumbuka. Song tulimba asubuhi. Taka hapo kwa chorus tutasing along, si ndio? Kama mnakumbuka, si ndio?
Actually this song is 4 years old, si ndio? Iliandikwa tu just the other day. It was about gender violence, manze, yani we saw inhumane things happening to the ladies, our ladies. Na mimi kama mwanaume, kama gentleman, unaona, gentleman mwenyewe, Cute Boy Association, eh? So nikamwa kwa address hii issue through the song that we are tunaimba nayo, because uko home, uko mashinani, uko kwenye ghetto, mwanaume anakuja tu akiwa stressed up. Kwanza sasa hivi this lockdown, msema atoka tu kwa na stress, anaamua tu kuleta mtaani, unaona, and it's not fair because there is where you're supposed to find peace, unaona, together you have peace, una get. So this song is about that. It's about whenever you feel like uko una feel manze steam imepanda, una feel ajo mimi naweza bomo ukuta, endo bomo ukuta ama ungoe miti
ama bomo chakula,
lakini don't bring it out on the people at home, people waiting at you, au si liabilities ama ni aje, simko poa. Juzi nilikuwa nimetulia pale nyumbani kwa jirani, nikasikia kelele zisizoeleweka, nikasongea kusikia nielewe kinachoendelea. Mbona mke analia, wampiga bila huruma? Kumbe ni kawaida, tangu lockdown ni mazoea. Ujumbe mie nakupa, shoka lako la hangaika. Vita si suluhisho, msiba wako tagaramia. Jumbe tena ndakupa, hii tabia lazima ikomeshwe. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. 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 Ai, 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 ai. Kill shazi.
Kila mara ni matusi, vita imekuwa ni kawaida. Hatuwezi kuongea kubadilishana mawaidha. Mume wangu wapingwi, anajiona shujaa. Hata siwezi sema naye no 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 no. mume wangu wa pingwi anajiona shujaa, hata ninaogopa sema kwani yakosi vitisho. Imekuwa ni kawaida tangu lockdown ni mazoea, pesa pia natafuta, no 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 no. Imekuwa ni kawaida tangu lockdown ni mazoea, pesa pia natafuta na mapenzi minampa. Hi, 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 hi. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie.
Usipende vita rafiki,
mapenzi mtunzie.
Come on. Tuende na nyinyi sasa. Na nakumbuka. Ati? Usipende vita rafiki,
mapenzi mtunzie.
Ati?
Mapenzi mtunzie.
So this is a message tunataka kwenda kuambia, ama ni aje, si ndio? Watu hao. Tutawaambia aje?
Usipende vita mapenzi mtunzie.
Twende tena.
Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi nitawabaya lollipop. Unaogopa?
Usipende vita rafiki,
mapenzi nitawabaya time. Sawa. Mapenzi mtunzie.
Siwaski.
Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie.
Louder. Simekula sausage bana.
Mapenzi mtunzie.
Twende.
Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie.
Usipende vita rafiki,
mapenzi mtunzie. Usipende vita rafiki, mapenzi mtunzie.
Usipende
mapenzi mtunzie. Hi, 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 hi.
So that's the message mtaipeleka nyumbani, si ndio? We count on you to spread the word, spread the message. Waambie usipende vita, si ndio?
Mutangaze kama injili.
You are our missionaries.
So the next song inaitwa Sheria. Kwa situation hakuna justice, unacheki. Ati mvua ikinyesha, fare inapanda. Wewe ulisikia wapi?
Where's the logic kwanza? Mvua
ulisikia wapi story?
Barabara ni same.
Ukiteta wewe ndio mbaya. Ndio the wrong side. Wewe ulisikia wapi?
Unapatia dereva pesa ya malaria, atagonjeka kwa sababu ya mvua.
Where did you hear it from?
Manze, it's not fair. It's just and actually this happened to us. This is a real story. This song was inspired by an event that happened recently this year. Hapa tu kwetangu aje hapa Ambassador. There was a guy hapo hivi manze, tumekuja
ni mnene
amekuja and he just mvua imeanza kunyesha. The guy ametuambia fare imehike kutoka 100 to 150. Then tukamuuliza mbona,
ni kama hiyo ngine tuna pay attention.
Akatuambia kama una pesa enda utafute mali pengine pa kuenda, unaona.
And the guy was actually violent to some of our friends. So
mimi actually hata the guy alinipiga and sikupigana. Sasa unajua msanii, you just come back and just learn from that. Ama ni aje?
Atuseme ni mnyonge.
Sisemi mimi ni mnyonge, si ati hatuwezi, lakini
but ni sawa.
So that was what happened, and tukafeel manze it's better we talk it out. We let people know that these things are happening to us and it's there, unaona. And we just need to start talking and ask them mbona fame pando, unaona. Mbona daktari ukienda hospitali mbona wakuhudumii? Mbona nurses watakuongelesha vibaya wenye wanataka kuongelesha vibaya? Like if somebody anafanya kitu mbaya, mbona tunanyamaza? It's your right to speak.
True.
And it will help the future generations. Ama vipi, si ndio? So enjoy sheria.
Na ikishika tuna sing along. Si ngumu.
Easy. Give it up for Tony.
Sheria, there is where I stand. Nataka kumseti, utaki nionge, so please naomba listen to my cry. Silence, ilhali nimefinyiliwa, mimi muhalifu na sheria.
Tunafichiwa
Sheria, there is where I stand. Nataka kumseti, utaki nionge, so please naomba listen to my cry. Silence, ilhali nimefinyiliwa, mimi muhalifu na sheria. No, 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 no.
Tunafichiwa Tunafichiwa
No, 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 no. Hey.
Tunafichiwa.
Nauli inapanda, eti mvua imenyesha, mdomo nimeshonwa, pingu nimefungwa, siwezi yatazusha. Ukweli nitakuwa mshukiwa, siku bila ufisadi. Ni breaking news.
Breaking news.
Mnyonge ana haki bila ufisadi. Ni breaking news.
Breaking news.
Siku bila ufisadi. Ni breaking news.
Breaking news.
Mnyonge ana haki bila ufisadi. Ni breaking news.
Breaking
Oh, ni breaking news.
breaking
Oh, ni breaking news.
breaking
Oh, ni breaking news.
breaking
Whoa,
news.
whoa, 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 yeah.
Mbona twanyosha vidole wakati sisi ndio tumekosea, twadanganywa na bwenyenye, manoti za tuziba kuongea. Mbona twanyosha vidole wakati sisi ndio tumekosea, twadanganywa na bwenyenye, manoti za tuziba kuongea. Uchaguzi, ubaguzi, nani atakomboa nchi yetu kwa upuzi?
Serikali,
Nani atakomboa nchi yetu kwa hii hali?
sheria, there is where I stand. Nataka kumseti, utaki nionge, so please naomba listen to my cry. Silence, ilhali nimefinyiliwa, mimi muhalifu na sheria.
Tunafichiwa
Sheria, there is where I stand. Nataka kumseti, utaki nionge, so please naomba listen to my cry. Silence, ilhali nimefinyiliwa, mimi muhalifu na sheria.
tunafichiwa.
Sheria,
Twende pamoja,
sheria,
twende. Tunafanyiwa nini?
tunafichiwa. Sheria, sheria,
Come on, sing
sheria,
along, twende. Come.
Sheria, 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 sheria,
Come on, let's sing louder. Tunafichiwa.
sheria, 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 tunafichiwa. One more time. tunafichiwa. We go by the name Niuru. Thank you so much. NIURU. Followers, tufuate. Baka tutoka hapa tufuate. Asanteni.
Sawa. Thank you so much, Niuru Band. What a great performance. Another round of applause. Woo! So I just wanted to bring us to attention why we are here. So we are here having a poetry cafe, and we have a lineup of artists, or rather poets. And I would like just to highlight some of them. We have Anthem Republic, yay! Then we have Spontaneous the poet, yay! Then we have Javan the poet, woo! Then we have Malenge, yay! Oh, Malenga, I'm sorry. It's Malenga 001. I'm so sorry about that. And then we have Kikete FM. Yay! Then we have Goofy. Yay! Then we have Mufasa. And then finally we'll have the headliner of the session as Stella Nyanzi, all the way from Uganda. Awesome. So at this point, I would like to welcome Anthem Republic. Well, Anthem Republic, please come up on stage. And having interacted with Anthem Republic, sorry, it's a he. So he does very good pieces, and you know, just talking about social justice and her, you know, his experience. But I'll allow you to perform, and then we'll have a conversation. Karibu sana.
Asante. Hamjambo tena. Wewe mnaongea huko. Tuko huko mbele. Yes, I go by the name Anthem Republic once again. Na acheni niwape story. I think ilikuwa day ya huyo man, cause it was on man day. Yenye aliamua kumwaga heshima zake chini, akafavor his feelings na kuforget its meaning later. Hiyo day ungemuona ungemuita lada. Juu vile feelings zilimpanda after ameona huyo mwanadada, and so after kusimama akamsimamisha. Alianza kutalk of cool kiss na udem alikuwa na stress za school fees, and so kama shamba akamgrab. He teared her uniform, penetrated her, while he could hear her clearly plea, begging him to stop. She said no, but he meant more and more, and so hard the blood everywhere. Na huyu man alikuwa na bidii, because bado alikuwa anataka kurudi round 2. But this time she rolled with her broken pieces angemwalao. She pushed him. Na kwa bahati nzuri ama mbaya huyu man akapass. Silence. Murderer, rapist, justice. Where are you, Mr. Justice? Please come and justify this, at least tuambie ulimwengu vile kuli happen. Na udem bado akiwa pale stranded, not knowing what to do, katoika jirani kakakam kaki tipito kaki dai kusurprise Shiro kama kawaida. But this time kawaida haikuwa kawaida, cause instead ka surprise Shiro ndiye alika surprise kaka sahau kutipito kaka rudi kakipiga nduru ya mgambo ikilia kuna jambo. Na this time watu hange ignore, walijaja na wengi ni wenye walikuwa na judge Shiro. Sauti moja kwa crowd ilisikika, msichana ni muache, ameua babake. Point hata sikuwa. Point ni ati kumbe huyu man ni buda ya Shiro. Yaani Kenya imekuwa ni man eat man society. Kikulacho hakiko nguoni mwako, kikulacho ni kile unakulanga nacho. Musa ameacha kulinda kondoo, siku hizi Musa anawinda kondoo. Musa ameacha kulinda kondoo, siku hizi Musa anawinda kondoo. Na bado wakiwa pale, askari walikuja too late kama kawaida. Na buda Shiro akapelekwa mochari, Shiro naye akapelekwa hosi. Shiro the only positive alikuwa anajua ni kuwa na positive attitude. But mbona sai daktari anatuambia Shiro ako HIV positive? Shiro alikuwa anapenda music, ungewahi mkosa na gitaa. Hakuwahi penda futa, but bado daktari anasema Shiro ako na ball. Shiro alishindwa kukop up. Alishindwa vile angeanza kuambia huyo mtoto mwenye anazaliwa ati babako ndio bado babangu. Shiro alishindwa kukop up. Lakini shingo na kamba hazingeshindwa kucooperate. So R.I.P. Shiro. Men, I'm talking to you men. Men, tuck in your manners. Now my second piece ni about extrajudicial killing. Mi nimezaliwa, I was born and raised in Mathare. Huko ndio mtaa na represent, na daily tunaona Bullet for Breakfast as in ndio hit song every now and then. Na even sai tunabonga na nyinyi hapa, inaweza kuwa ni the last time naniona, God forbid, but hivyo ndio inakuanga. So this piece is like a black paint that paints my heart black every time I recite it. It's like a horror movie. And I'm not the main character, so it's obvious I'm approaching my grave. Brave is no longer my name. My name is extrajudicial killing candidate. And I know CS Samo is expecting me to pass, so let me pass this message before I pass. Because I live for the moment. More are not meant for me. God's plan, never. Afande's plan. Afande, ka unaanga rada jio kitu kifyetua hoi na mada mtu cha uwe la. Soka spirit kakikuambia uwa kaambie la. Lazima ujue ni light unadim kwa familia yenye shachoreshwa giza. Familia yenye inawishinge kuwa mchezo wa kuigiza, Juleta breadwinner angeamka endele kuchase dream. Dream yake ya kumake society according to God's will, but blunder hii ni real. Na ushamgeuza your dream. So daily unamchase simba akifuata swara kando. Mtani utupia mani nikienda jiji kuna kanjo. Hata kani cheo mbona kumada ikuwe ndio dajo. God am I living mapapa sama huu ndio mwanzo. Huku hata ukiamka mapema bado watakuita the late. Hakuna kabisa difference ya ugonjwa na afande. Kwa zote zinaweza kushika hata ukuwe na kipande. Afande, na respect the fact that wewe ndio uko in charge. Na hata kama umedunga koti wesi koti usini judge. Buda fuata sheria, mi pia nitafuata sheria. Tunde better wellness akamstenje kuwagotea. Na kunipata niko beza sio pia mimi sitapotea. So afande itabidi nijenge kitu kidogo cause unajua siko kazi na shida zako zangu wacha zangu ziwe zako na tubadilishe life, sio kumalizanga life. Na nicheza party yako, hapana cheza na party yako. Vile kwa ghetto mimi na struggle kama lion in the jungle, manze daily mimi na hustle hizi shida ni hizi hando siku ishi bila skando, nyumba kuchomoa na kando, vita jua mpango wa kando. Na bala ya kubeta things unawasen things tataka uko ma things umeshindwa ku defend game, so unatafutanga tu fame. Shakubali wewe ndio top scorer, una madama youth in the name of ni wakora. Brother, don't you know that's wrong? Anthem Republic. Thank you so much.
Ulikuwa na move na yeye. Great performance. Hakuna difference ya ugonjwa na afande, zote zinakushika. Manze, that's powerful.
Thank you so much.
And na umesema Musa aliacha kulinda, siku hizi anawinda. Let's talk about what inspires you.
Ni vitu zenye tu ziko, una get. Maybe naweza sema mimi kugrow up ghetto, nimekuwa nikiface a lot of injustices. Mimi nimepoteza mabeste, maboy tumegrow nao, nimepoteza pia watu wengi kwa slum, watu una get wale watu hii childhood friends au grow nao wamekuwa kidedi tu ovyo. Na unapata kuna wenye wanapatikana wako kwa wizi, na kuna wenye sasa unajua ghetto ni kaa community, like ni kaa nyumba moja tu hapo. So like unajua na nyinyi wote. So mimi nikipata naenda kugotea tu alafu then hiyo kukugotea ni blanda. Because ndaonekana like uliongea na ule na maybe alikuwa amefanya mambo yake huko. So unapata pia unakuwa profiled. Then ingine ni kukua miss kuanga na ile courage ya kujintroduce kama nimetoka Mathare. Because ilikuwa ni noma. unataka kuambia mreshi umetoka ghetto alafu si itakuwa like hey ghetto una ghetto. Inakuweka ile nini, sikuwa na hiyo courage because ukiambia watu umetoka ghetto kuna mtu ataanza kushika kibeti yake poa, mwingine simu, unaona, because kuna venye washa ku profile already. So hizo vitu ndo zimekuanga nika like na try kugain hiyo courage, like nani anaweza ambia watu the other side kando na, because na believe kama ni kuchoose mtu choose kwenye anataka kuzaliwa, maybe labda ghetto ingekuwa ina exist, kila mtu angesema place tu poa poa. Una get, na lucky you mwenye umezaliwa place fine, una get. But at the end of the day sasa ukishazaliwa umekuwa bazen kama mimi, una choose sasa, una work towards kwenye unadai, una get. Na hiyo ndio imekuwa, so hiyo ndo kitu, hiyo desire ku tell hizo stories, na nikajua kuna watu wengi sana kama mimi wako huko mtaani wana face hiyo a lot, like wanaogopa kusema mali wanakam, na sio ulichagua, ulijipata. So hapo huko juu unataka kuenda wapi. Yeah.
So umetalk about zile stereotypes ziko mtaani, na nilikuwa nashangaa ni challenges gani unapitia, na unaona inahinda which opportunities za ku, you know, even just growing you as an artist. Ni challenges gani una face, na what obstacles are there for you to advance your piece of work?
One pia ni yoku profile, juu most watu watakuita event zingine, wataona anakuita event unaangalia tu mambo ya ghetto. Mimi ndio for now najua, so ndabonga tu hiyo, unaona. Sasa hiyo pia inakuzuia hauna ma stories za ghetto, watu kuuliwa, ongea vitu zingine. Ni poa, but kuna hiyo ndio inanimake mimi hivyo. So hiyo pia kuna watu wanakukanyagia, then wanasema ule mwenye usumbua nangana gava, unaona. So kuna vitu kaa hizo zimekuweka. And again ni unity tu, watu washikane na believe vitu zinaweza kuwa freshi. Then ikikuwa kazi poa, mtu akifanya kazi poa, share manze, sio lazima usupport mtu na do, sio lazima unini, unaweza share na una recommend, because me event zingine napata nijua msee alikuwatch na akakurifa kwa msee mwingine.
Okay. Umefanya this for how long? Na ni impact gani imefanya kwa community? Because umesema all your pieces zina focus on the communities, is zile issues mna face kwa community. What's the impact and how long have you done it?
Sahi nimeifanya, I think nikisema professionally naweza sema maybe kuanzia maybe 2017. Hiyo ndo nimeanza, but hizi time zingine nilikuwa najibamba tu, najibamba. Then pia nilikuwa afraid pia kuambia watu una get kwa mtaa bado, because songs zinachapo sana ni za kurori, unaona. Until nikagain hiyo courage, na so far naona imemake impact, because unaweza pata kuna time mimi weka tu piece yangu, then iko like after performance word gani umeget, na through hiyo unapata hadi watoi ni the same. Ukisikia mtoi akisema huko sijui akimba hizo genge tu penye inaingia ni kama mantra. So zangu na trying kuweka that in mind, so design ndaeka tu simple, si need nini ati kuonyesha ati yangu ama nini, ati na try kuweka tu hivyo simple. Mtoi akisema pale the more ina stick, kama piece yangu inaitwa Star, the moment anasema tu hivyo. Au need mtu kukuambia wewe ni normal, wewe ukijiambia tu inatosha, then from hapo ukiwa kwanza na hiyo unatosha. Maybe ukipata msee anaweza kuadvise fine, but at least kwanza ni unajiamini kabla watu wakuamini.
Hapo sawa.
Yes,
now we talk about story ya Wakidi. You keep your pieces of art very simple such that watoi wanaweza get. Are you mentoring someone? Are you mentoring that young person in your community to be able to do the kind of work that you're doing?
Yeah. Currently tumekuwa nikifunza ngatu watu weju after umeperform wanakuja. Tumekuwa nikiwa mentor tu kiasi venye najua, ama na wageti ya msee kulingana venye nasikia akipiga mwenye wanaweza relate na yeye. Na so far space ndio imekuwa ni noma, but thank God tumefungua art center, inajiita Sanaa Center, na I hope hiyo through that tuta create hiyo culture huko mtaa na ita grow.
Okay. Yeah. Sawa. Hiyo Sanaa Center umesema iko Mathare.
Yeah, iko Mathare.
How many artists tuko na wao to expect mapoets wangapi wanatoka nini art center in future?
So far mapoet ni almost 10 na kitu, bado mapoet wajaanza mtaa kujitokeza anaweza articulate, but waimbi ni wengi sana. Yeah, ni wengi. So tuna hope ita grow hivyo, because ndio imeanza miezi kama 2 zimepita.
Oh.
Yeah, ndo tumeanza, imekuwa ni struggle kupata the certificate hiyo do ya kuregister, but at least sai tumeisimamisha.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Manze wameshaanza, set up at center,
Yeah.
and we wish you all the best. Please reach out to us. We'll share your work, and we are amazed by your work. Manze, a lot of applause again for Anthem Republic.
Thank you so much. Na mnaweza angalia stuff zangu YouTube. Hiyo piece nimeipiga, nimecombine poetry, nimeshikanisha nikaa spoken word, alafu inaenda kwa beat ya hip hop. Hiyo ni style tu nilikuwa naunda. So unaweza iangalia kwa YouTube, Anthem Republic with Q. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Sawa. Make sure you check out. Manze, big up Anthem Republic. So the next on stage, Spontaneous the Poet. Woo! Akuja tuambie manze, how is this, space ya poetry? We are talking about commemorating International Day of Democracy. So we are looking forward to your piece. Karibu on stage.
Thank you so much. How are you? How are you doing? You're well? How you guys doing? You're fine? Hey, it's good to see your faces, Manze. People just keep masking. Finally, we see a smile here. Yeah, so apparently we are doing this with Stingo Tao in the house.
Yay!
I don't know if the guitar feels psyched up to be here. Thank you so much for having us. Ooh. Hi, Mbuki.
Hi, Spontaneous.
You look beautiful.
You look good too.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Date 12th September 2017. Time 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I'm not very sure. Revelation. Baby Pendo loses her life of extrajudicial killings. Revelation. My brother is stuck in the hospital. Or wait, he's hiding in the hospital because rumors have it that the police have been ransacking people's homes and waiting on young men of his age to shoot them. Revelation. There's a media blackout. Revelation. The social media is vibrant. Resolve. #Rise Humanity. State. Confusion, frustration, anger, state, prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Dear Lord, the 10-year-old chessboard that we bought in 2007 has been tarnished. Maybe I am too busy noticing the specks in their eyes and not seeing the log in my own, and if this be the case, then forgive me. Grant me holy spiritual eyes that I may walk in your light. Because lately, all I'm seeing is how they have disregarded the bones, allowing dictatorship to rule in place of democracy. They have bent all the rules, allowing stray bullets to act as scapegoats. But dear Lord, if my way of looking at things is backward, then hold my hand and show me the way forward. Forward. Because dear Lord, the 10-year-old chessboard that we bought in 2007 is currently on fire. And I am as guilty as it gets for exalting. Hate as guilty as it gets for exalting. Anger is guilty as it gets, Father Lord, for exalting pain. So speak to my heart, Lord. Touch my spirit, Father, because I'm slowly turning. Being more of them at the expense of being a part of you, I'm slowly turning. Disregarding your command, forgive 70 times 70 times 70. What times? I'm slowly turning back to you. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. State. Hashtag rise humanity. So I'm always told that if you want to fight for what's right, that you need to know your self-worth. Yes? You need to appreciate who you are. So this goes out to you, African. Africa, hey, Africa, 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 Africa. Chin up, dear African child. O son and daughter of the soil of this land, the land of wealth, where ancient gold unfolds down the wheat waters run, the land of the limitless fresh, where river Nile flows onto pink lake Senegal, the land of aquatic system where flora and fauna beautifully relate. I say, arise, dear African child, and delight on the fourth largest island, Madagascar. Do you feel it? Yeah? So be of good courage, like your forefathers. Those who heed to the command, go ye out and multiply. I say, delight on the second largest population of this world. You are home. Embrace your identity in the Ubuntu spirit. Speak that you may be heard. I say, speak that you may be heard in whichever form you decide. Don't you know that your descendant voice has impact? Don't you know that your brothers in Soweto and sisters fought for this? Don't you know? Speak that you may be heard in English. Zungumza Swahili, zungumza Arabica. Nakwambia, spread your love in whichever form, be it in the Christian or Islamic way. Because you are of ancient love. Don't you know the oldest human being is from Africa? Yeah? Africa, 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 Africa. Be ye not betrothed. I say power unto you, O spirited one. I say power, power, power. I say power unto you, O spirited one. Join me if you believe. I say power unto you, O spirited one. Again, I say power unto you, O spirited one. Be ye not betrothed by the challenges you face. Challenges of water. Be inspired by Wangari Maathai. Plant those trees. Challenges of education. Be inspired by the boy who harnessed the wind. I mean, even with the lack thereof of knowledge, there's wisdom. With the lack thereof of health, I know 3,000 of us die of malaria daily. I know 300 million suffer from malnutrition. I know. But your setbacks, Your places, your space do not define you. So shake this world like Rosa Parks did on the civil rights movement at the age of 15. Shake this world like Malala Yousafzai, who fought for the rights of education at 11. Shake this world like Greta Thunberg, advocating for climate change at 16. Shake this world like Jack Andraka on pancreatic interventions. So shake this world. Arise. Arise, arise, O African child. Let your melanin skin radiate. Arise, O African child. Let your Afro-textured hair glow with pride. Arise, dear African child, with your arms and feet bold. Take your rightful place. Arise, dear African child. You are home. That was my first set. Yes, thank you so much. I don't know if there's time for the second set.
When time allows, I will call you back.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for that presentation.
Thank you so much.
Round of applause for her. Before you step out of stage, I didn't get to hear his name.
Yes. So, the amazing man in the area is other than Stingo Thao.
Wow, it's good to know. It's good to know. So, spontaneous, let's have a conversation.
Yes.
I would like to find out.
Yes.
My first interaction with you, you were actually doing projects. And now, from our conversation, you sort of said, like, you want to impact the world differently.
Yes.
So I would like to find out, what's your target audience?
My target audience is... This is a very interesting question. But basically it lieth upon the youth and the elderly as well.
Interesting.
And of course the kids, because I believe every generation has a say. You nurture the child and build a generation into a youthful space. And other than that, we cannot afford to assume that we don't learn anything from the elderly as well. So it's very key to cover that whole space.
Okay.
Yes.
You talked about nurturing a generation.
Yes.
I'm wondering, what is the position or the power of poetry in sort of shaping national discourses?
I believe poetry is powerful because of words. Personally, I don't do poetry for entertainment alone. I do poetry for edutainment, basically to educate, motivate, and inspire. Because I believe words have power. And from the organization I work under, rather I'm one of the co-founders called Anika 254. It's an art-based initiative. We believe that silence kills. So our main aim is to just let people speak. You start by talking, and then inspiring, and then changing the world.
Rise humanity.
Rise humanity.
What has been your impact? I mean, how long have you been doing poetry, and what has been the impact of your poetry?
Wow. I've been doing poetry since, as long as I can remember, 1998. Then I got into, Then I got into spoken word professionally in 2013. My impact has been, I would say, having people tell you that you've spoken for them is what counts for me. At the end of the day, I just want people to heal from my poetry. So I would say my impact, it is very funny to respond to this question, but I have heard from other people that I am very impactful.
Awesome.
I have heard from other people that I am.
Behavioral change? What is it? What is it?
I would say it's behavioral. I would say it's inspirational, I'd also just mention, having had to work with our organization, the Anika Art-Based Initiative, we've been able to have conversations on, say, gender-based violence, been able to have conversations on COVID-19. The last time I checked, our last conversation had around 8.8 million impressions.
Wow.
So I think from other people, I believe we're doing something.
Interesting.
Yes.
So there's something that you say that sparked me. You started poetry in 1998.
Yes, I did.
I not even gone to school.
I was in class 2.
So were you mentored by someone? And who inspires you? You're a poet.
Yes.
Whom do you look up to and who inspires you in that field?
Honestly speaking, I look up to God. Honestly speaking, like, yes, I have something to say. So, the first person who introduced me to poetry was my class 2 teacher. That time she's called Mrs. Otieno. Wherever she is, shout out to her. So she became my first inspiration.
Yeah.
And then I grew into understanding that you need grace and you need God and you need wisdom to be able to reach out to the multitudes. Because for me, it's the healing that matters. So he inspires me. And also, I am really, 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 really humbled because I got introduced to Stella Nyanzi's work last year.
Wow.
And honestly, I remember, I have a witness here.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I was once saying, I really wish I would meet her and be on the same stage with her. And that was 2 weeks ago, having a conversation with one of my friends.
Wow.
And then I get this and I'm like, thank you.
come
You're one of
true.
my inspirations.
Woo!
I am humbled to be here in your presence. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yes.
Now that you've concluded like that, I will not dilute. That's a powerful ending. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Spontaneous the Poet. Awesome. So we have the next performer on stage coming up. He's such a great champion of social justice centers. And we must appreciate the contribution that social justice centers have in the democracy and human rights of this country. So help me welcome Javan the Poet. Woo! Woo! Woo!
Habari zenu? Habari zenu? Tuko sawa? Mnaniona? Ama niongezewe light kidogo? Msicheke bana. Nauliza swali serious. Hii swali ni serious. So, mi ni Javan the Poet, natoka Dandora. I do poetry and rap music, but mara mob poetry ndio wase usema manze tupatie 2 pieces ingine. So kasema okay, I'll give you 2 pieces. One inaitwa Killer Breed na the other inaitwa Kura. Killer Breed personally nikiandika ilikuwa to talk to the duty bearers, gava na makarao sana. Then Kura nikiandika ilikuwa ni to talk to the people, mimi nikiwa mmoja wao. Unajua 5 years ina feeling painful, ina feeling hard, ina kuanga so heavy, but it's because we gave somebody the opportunity, the chance and the power to lead us through. So kama unateta, wewe uko hapo ndani, uko kwa hiyo mix because you made a decision. If you're happy about what's happening, you also made a decision, and clap for yourself, be happy because it's the right thing to do. Mnakumbuka ile hook nili something kadogo niliwafundisha? Mnakumbuka kweli? Nani anakumbuka? Si business biz. Okay, kuna business biz lakini si business biz najua wendi anaipenda. Inaenda hivi 7788991010. System iko drunk, nataka exchange na change, tax inatuchoke. Tumepatana? So ako kabit itakuwa yenyu, alafu mimi nyingine itakuwa yangu. Sawa? 7788991010. System iko drunk, nataka exchange na change,
tax zinatuchoke. Simjaribu nisikie kabla nijiangushe nikisema tuko pamoja. Hebu jaribuni. The long journey, the long journey. 7788991010 system iko drunk, nataka exchange na change, tax zinatuchoke. Hiyo pati ya mwisho inasemaje? Nani anachokiwa na tax? Mnalipanga ushuru. Wangapi wamefile tax return? Moja. One. Okay, 7788991010 nice. 7788991010 system iko drunk, nataka exchange na change, tax zinatuchoke. Kura debe kula, bila kura tutachakura. Kura debe kula, bila kura tutachakura. Tuna hustle kuwa sonko wakati kupata job na cash imekuwa so slow kama movement ya konokono. Mikono zangu hazifiti in my pocket, juu zao ziko in kama charger na socket. Wanabonga mob kama product ya Safu, ongea taarifu nataka change. Safu utapata kura tu ndio arif. One nation tumelan, one lesson kupata change. Mimi na wewe ndio one mason. Wazee walisema penye nia pana njia, niko stage hata sijapata njia naitishwa mia. Weird. Hatu hike siku hizi juu mountains imecome home na prices za goods. Hatuna kura, zile tunazo tunauza. Are we fools? Who's smarter now ni kiwanja wanakula kwao. Life's good for them, wanatumia words kama wow. Tap zikiflow na maji badala ya hewa, nikishi kwa nyumba after election badala ya hema. Ndajua kuna change, juu sijui difference ya thao na so kwa duka kuna change. Paper bag hazina weight, hata nyumbani hatuna kazi ya plates. Ndaona kesho, I guess. Wanajenga nini? Barabara zimejaa potholes, mfuko inchi treasury. Hipot iko na holes kusiphon cash, vitabu za accounts zimejaa dash, na ukiulizwa swali utambiwa pass. So kura debe kula, bila kura utachakura. 77 na change, tax zinatuchoke. Manze unajua mimi ndio na feel ni kama nimekaa alafu nyinyi mna perform. Aya, 77991010 system iko drunk, nataka exchange na change, tax zinatuchoke. Naingia shule kusoma, mwalimu anagoma, na graduate chuo kikuu na honors, notice board kusoma nikitafuta vacancy. Hii subject inaitwa experience, sikuiona ama hii degree ni ya jobless corner. Ambulance imekuwa too fast kutupeleka kwa Grim Reaper. Juu ku maintain life, health services too expensive, death is cheaper. Akishiba excess Turukana meals ni shida, kids dying daily ni msiba. Biashara ni hasara, na uza sukari ya nyumbani 100. Ya magendo unapunguza kadhaa asilimia. Fungua macho uone who's to blame. Ningekuwa mrasta ningesema I and I. Gap ya pua na richi na widen, itabidi maskini wote waokoke ndo waone good life in heaven. No na joke, it's never too late. Get your vote, be wise. Toka kwa life ya church mice, alivyosema Samora Machel, the struggle continues. 77 991010 na change, tax zinatuchoke. 77 991010 na change, tax zinatuchoke. Manze umeanza kushika hii stuff. Kama kuna place ya wase kujibu, if you are a poet, an artist, nyi wote ni wasanii leo for now, and you're doing great. So the next piece inaitwa Killer Breed. Na nikiandika Killer Breed niliandika because I felt like I have to talk to the people in power, the people who can do something to change whatever is happening. Inaenda hivi. Wewe na wewe na wewe si enforcer. Wewe ni killer breed. Wewe ni killer breed. Wewe ni killer breed. Wanasema law, kazi ya gani kublow holes kwa heads na chest, si kuprotect, ni contest ya nani anangusha wengi, nani anajaza meli, nani atashinda hesi juu system ziko messy. Alisema shoot to kill, bodies all over kwa screen. Kama mbaya ndio term boss, tunamaliza generation. Ama pea lawyer uniform, pea judge uniform, mkuwe wote kwa street, tushike investigate alafu kill. Familia za victims zilipie bullets, mpate pay rise. Ama pathology wa gavana mocha wapate clients juu. Wewe na wewe si enforcer. Wewe ni killer breed. Wewe ni killer breed. Wewe ni killer breed. System zimetupush. Land Cruiser na Haas zimegeuka kuferi body bags. Forest grounds zimejaa body parts. Si watu, ni animals kwa kila score. Pupu kushoot na kutoa bullets kwa throat, alafu kwa media wanakuwa applauded. Hakuna light kwa end ya tunnel liko closed. Hakuna justice kwa iya za case ziko post. Not with guns but with our voices tutachallenge your might juu. Wewe na wewe si enforcer. Wewe ni, yeye ni, mnajua kila breeds mnawajua wako. Wao ni, Hesi ni, Hesi wa Dandora ni, Hesi wa Kayole ni. Yes. Thank you. Nataka nipatie wale walikuwa wanasema business ka dedication. Na nikiandika business because I believed you can change your life with the smallest you have. I once had an argument in town with msee akisema, huyu mama anauza njugu haezi fika mahali ajenge goro. And for me it was so painful because I believe you can use the smallest thing you have to do the greatest change you can, or be the greatest you ever wanted to be. So business naenda hivi. Business. Nauza tobao, nauza ni buy, nauza tobao, nauza ni buy kaboy. Wavens to do biz juu, nyi unasema? Unasema business, Kuna msee amekuja bila kulipa fare, kuna msee haja buy anything, hadi credo nothing. We've transacted today. Ni kweli? But more of the time ni us giving. So I was telling the youth, try and find a way to be on the other side of receiving, because you can and you have that potential. Business, nauza tobao, nauza ni buy, nauza tobao, nauza ni buy kaboy. Wavens to do biz juu. Wanauza sukari kwa maa Cartel, wanauza Katen kwa duka Patel, lakini si 10 kwa black market. Ukiwa mjanja just geri juu. Anachapa kawera na get peda na kushoka wale to get late juu. Chips ndakula na toothpick, baby kwa don taku pick, tukienda picnic, street ni safi. Business. Thank you.
How are you this afternoon?
I'm very fine, and I think they make me better.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you are a poet and a rapper. And you said people like you perform more poetry than rap.
Yeah.
I want to find out, from your own perspective, what makes you think that poetry has, a place in the society? Or what do you think it contributes to a change in a society?
That's a very good and powerful question. And just to show you by statistics that poetry has a space in the future. My poets in the house, mikono juu. Poets in the house. If you're a poet, just put your hand in the house. Yes. You look at the number. Over 5% in just this small room are poets. The reason that I believe poetry and poets and, the space and conversation around poetry has a space in the future is because we can interact with people directly. Nikirap, kuna mse nikoshua nikiuliza, na I go to some places and people sing to me business and they sing vitu tofauti sana. Like mse hata niimbia tu sijui nauza nini, and I'm like, okay, sawa, but siyo hiyo. But poetry is word by word. If I was to talk to the government, and as I shared initially around Killer Breed, I don't know what the interaction would be if I did it in a rap format, but the poetry did hit directly, like poof, community, poof, karao, everybody. So poetry is a powerful form of communication because it unpacks the reality as it is. Yeah.
Interesting. Umesema system iko messed. Na tax inatuchoke ama inanichoke. Yeah. As we this week we've been talking about democracy. Yeah. Democracy week. What do you think what has been the impact of your work around democracy, and what do you think we should do to advance democracy? I mean, we're talking about 10 years since the Constitution of Kenya was promulgated. What do you think is the right direction as a poet? Because, kioo, artist unaambiwa ni anasaidia kukua kioo cha jamii somehow.
Wanasemanga hivyo lakini kioo ilitolewa, so so for me is hata na constitution hapa. So maybe it's my responsibility and every other person to unpack that message into a consumable conversation, tune and all that. Because utauliza mse about an article, a chapter in the Constitution, and they don't know. We might assume they are ignorant, but maybe hakuwaipata hiyo kitabu, ama kama ameipata they are not good in whatever it is wanaweza, unajua. So if we can write these stuff, this knowledge in poetic form and share with them, then we have people who are knowledgeable. Na mtu alisema in the morning that 7% ndio wanajua what democracy is, what the Constitution has. So it's our responsibility to unpack that thing, that hiyo inasemekana iko ipatikani yezi somo yezi, then we give it to people. Then we can obviously and surely impact.
Great. So you talk about, the power of poetry, in changing the national discourses. I'm wondering, what challenges do you have? Because you've said, yes, poetry can actually do that. What are the challenges that you find in terms of, either in your work, and of course you work in the Dandora Social Justice, by the big up for the work that you're doing there. What challenges are you, and of course, talking about social justice, human rights, you can't, and of course, you talked about, you presented a piece on extrajudicial killings as well. What challenges and what do you think we can resolve? How can we resolve as well?
So challenges are, one, as an artist, the challenge that I have is being victimized for what you stand for. Najua, nilipopiga piece ya Killer Breed, and I think I'm still being perceived as one of the criminals and a person who supports crime because I wrote that. And it's not only me. So many of us are demonized for saying it through the arts. Secondly, arts has not been mainstreamed in Kenya. Na wakati wa pandemic, wase wamechorwa na gava wangefanyiwa tax reductions and all that. But sisi tulitafutiwa ka first aid kit. Unajua tukaambiwa hii 100M itawasaidia, which pia ilileta conversation because the normal Kenyan was like 100 million. What? And if you do your math, that was peanuts, it was. But my biggest question is sustainability. So nikiamua kudu sanii, what are the policies that guide arts and artistry and everybody in this space so that even artists continue to do what they do, wakiwa sure maybe atakula kuku but akona ugali na mboga, because many times that is not there. And also the space of creativity is that wase wakona the passion, wase wakona talent, they give up on their way, because leo venye niko single, kesho nikipata mama anaitisha food na show nimepiga once, I don't know in how many years,
Yeah.
It's a very big conversation. So what arts has to do is to keep, of course, the shrinking space wide. Mkisema tutamita hapa juu social distance, mangoma ziko na wase kwa simu, kwa social platforms, that reaches out. Mkisema usitaje mtu fulani directly, we choreograph it artistically and put it out there. Ama we sema, but mimi sasa nimepostio kitu hapa na nimeongea juu ya mse wa Kisumu venye mse wa Kisumu alikuwa hapa. You see, we also connect our struggles in different ways. Yeah.
Okay, finally, as you take your seat, what you work in the social justice movement, what are you doing to mentor upcoming artists in the communities?
What I'm doing to mentor and also to be mentored is to share a space. So I've been mandated to lead Arts for Social Justice as an arm of the Justice Centers Working Group. And this brings on board a pool of artists from different areas. Within Nairobi only, it's over 16 informal settlements. Now the pool has over 100 artists. poets, rappers, watu wa dance, unajua. And we grow each other. We share our experiences, we share our struggles. Ndio tukiongea about EJE Dandora, it's all over. The 16 spaces talk about extrajudicial killings. Mse akiongea about land issues, it is shared. So what I do is we create space for each other, we talk to each other, tunashapeniana, and I think tuna mentor each other.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. And you actually told me that you have an event coming up on...
niko na event...
artists.
Yes, exactly. So on the 28th, we are trying to have, and we have planned to have an event where we'll have at least 2 leaders from all the justice centers to come and learn about, talking about real issues artistically, branding, using social media platforms, and also just nurturing others. So then these 2 should impact more. So na believe tukifundishana wase 32 na wafundisha wengine 20, it grows out. So that is what we are planning, and we invite anybody who has anything to share in terms of knowledge with these young artists. Tunajua hata mimi kuna kitu naweza share. Na in that line, intellectual property is something that is important for artists to learn, also to build on this artistic space.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Javan. What a great presentation. A big cloud of applause for Javan the poet. Thank you, all the way from Dandora. So we'll have our next artist on stage. And first of all, I want to apologize. I mentioned his name wrongly. So now this time I'll get it right. Malenga 001. Woo! Woo!
Nairobi mambo. Nairobi mambo. Mgeukie mwenzako mwambie umependeza. Mgeukie mwenzako mwambie umependeza. Aya, na ujue kudanganya kwa Mungu ni dhambi. Naitwa Malenga 001 kutoka Mombasa, na nimefurahi sana kuwa hapa. Mama yetu Stella Nyanzi na kuheshimu sana. Salamu zangu kutoka County 001. Kule kwetu Mombasa watakwambia mapenzi ni kama feri, ukiachwa usikimbilie. Kuwa na imani kuna inayokuja na itakupa nafasi ya kwanza. Watakwambia pia mapenzi ni kama majini, wengi washayasikia lakini kidogo washayaona. Watakwambia pia mapenzi ni kama daraja, haijalishi mpita wangapi, lakini wewe wapita vipi? Lakini mimi Malenga 001, maskini wa pesa, tajiri wa maneno, nakwambia mapenzi si ya kitandani, mapenzi si ya baby na hani, mapenzi ni nchi yenye amani. Na kwa heshima ya mama yetu Stella, nataka kuongea na watu wa kike. Nataka kuongea na wanawake. Wanawake, hata kama utakubali ringa angalau. Watu wadanganywa na meli, wadanganywa na vidau. Unko wa SGR reli 1000 tu dafrau. Afadhali mimi Malenga utasema mashairi. Wadanganywa na wajinga kisa umeitwa mzuri. Penalty nshindwa kufunga. Kona ndo ataiweza kweli? Ni yako nishakubali. Hata ukampa nani? Basi kayafanye mbali. wafanya vichochoroni. Mimi nakwambia ukweli, wamnunia nani? Najua sio sabuni, haiwezi kaisha. Na kuwapa milioni pia wajiaibisha. Waipeana paka kwa deni unkuwa waikopesha. Oh, African beauty. Wewe mwenyewe zilipendwa. Kama askari wa trafiki wanavyopenda kuhongwa. Wewe wadhani ni haki wakikumenya kama machungwa. Leo Juma, kesho Mwangi, huo sio uwerevu. Kufuli lenye funguo nyingi watu waliita bovu. Umekuwa mairungi, watafunwa kavu kavu. Unatoa mimba kila mwezi wawamwaga. Wangoje wanamuumba, hisi kisi ya maraga. Na kaburi watachimba hawa wanakuparaga. Ebu kuwa na malengo, wanaume ni manyani. Nyumba nzuri si mlango, fungua uingie ndani. Lakini ukizidisha maringo pia utazeeka nyumbani. Muislamu akipandisha majini, Qur'an ndo tutatumia. Mkristo akipandisha mashetani, tutatumia Biblia. Uhuru na Ruto wakikataa mamlakani, kitabu gani tutatumia? Kitabu gani tutatumia? Hii katiba ni baba kuchapa wana waovu. Katiba ni msalaba kusulubu waonevu. Hii katiba ni mwiba ya kudunga wapumbavu. Katiba ni msumeno ya kata mbele na nyuma. Hii katiba ina meno tena makali ya umma. Katiba ina mkono kama wa Conjestina. Hii katiba ni nyuki ya kuuma mabepari. Hii katiba ni bunduki yenye risasi za kweli. Katiba. Katiba. How many poets in the house? How many poets in the house? Kuna wale wazazi wanazuia watoto wao kwa wasanii, si ndio? Kuna wazazi wanazuia watoto wao kwa wasanii, si ndio? Hii ni yao hii. Wewe si mzazi. Wacha nikwambie kweli. Wewe ni mwizi. Tena ni mwizi jangili. Kama wewe si mwizi, mbona umlazimisha mtoto wako kwa wakili? Wewe ni kichaa, hufikirii vizuri. Madhari ndo kwa kufa. Anza kufunga safari. Kama wewe si kichaa, mbona umlazimishe mtoto wako kwa daktari? Wewe ni mjinga, kama hujui fahamu. Usanii wa upinga, ati lazima niwe mwalimu. Mimi hapa ni malenga, kwani sio binadamu? Sio binadamu? Mungu ankupa kipaji, wajifanya unkinai. Wajifanya mjuaji, lazima uvae tai. Wataka kuwa jaji, kichwa chenye mayai. Chupa ya sukari ikiisha sukari haina utamu. Lakini chupa ya chumvi ikiisha chumvi, utamu uko pale pale. Mwenyezi Mungu alipotaka kuwe na mwangaza, aliumba mwezi na jua. Mwenyezi Mungu alipotaka tule vitamu, akaumba tende na halua. Lakini Mwenyezi Mungu alipotaka tutunge mashairi, alimuumba Malenga 001. Asante.
What a great presentation. Malenga 001. Another round of applause. Nani ananishinda Kiswahili by the way? Nani ananishinda Kiswahili? Malenga. Lakini sita promise tuta have conversation na Kiswahili. Mjadala. Manze 001 kuko vipi?
001 kuko poa. Safi sana, wamewasalimia sana.
Tumesalimika. Huko corona imeshuka.
Corona bado iko lakini mimi sina. Niko sawa.
Okay, sawa. Umesema umetoka Mombasani 001. Huko mambo mnatunzaje ma artists?
Niseme changamoto za wasanii wa Nairobi ni changamoto hizo za wasanii wa Mombasa. Nimesikia ndugu zangu wakiongea hapa Anthem, Javan, na sioni kama kuna tofauti yoyote. Zile changamoto zao ndo zile zetu. Kwamba pengine watu hawathamini sanaa, watu haoni sanaa kama ni kazi, sanaa haithaminiwi. Mtu yuko radhi aeke harusi, alipe viti, alipe vyakula, lakini akimuita Malenga 001 anasema ni platform. Kwa hivyo sanaa haithaminiwi.
Okay. Niruhusu tu niongee na Kizungu. Itabidi. Nataka kujua safari yako, your journey ya poetry. Na unafikiria kufika hapa ni what impact has it caused to your work?
Nilianza ushairi mwaka 2009, ushairi wa kuandika, lakini ushairi wa jukwani ama the performance act nilianza 2016. Na mpaka kufika hapa naweza sema haijakuwa safari rahisi. Kumekuwa na vikwazo vingi sana, shida za hapa na pale, lakini kwa kujikaza, kuomba sana Mungu, kufanya bidii na kuishi na watu vizuri, ndio maana mpaka leo niko hapa. Nimshukuru ndugu yangu Augustine Karani, kina Mary, Forum Seed nzima, ni kwa sababu yao niko hapa, na ni kwa sababu nadhani ya bidii, kuishi na watu vizuri na kuwa mvumilivu sana. Na imani mara nyingine nikija sitakuja peke yangu, nitaandamana na Malenga wengine wengi, tuje pamoja.
Tunashukuru. Please wakuja na wao. Lakini sasa umesema umekuwa na vikwazo vingi.
Kweli.
So nini unafanya kama Malenga 001 just to ensure that the people who are coming after you pia wako na a better experience na waweze kuwa na more impact in terms of the poetry?
Vikwazo ni vingi na Waswahili wanasema mwanzo huwa ni mgumu. Mombasa tuna msemo wasema dhiaka ya Mswahili ndio ukweli wake. Utaambia mtu mimi ni Malenga, hata kujibu atakwambia tu ndio ashakujibu hivyo.
Enyewe umesema Malenga 001 ni tajiri wa maneno,
maskini wa pesa.
Okay. Sasa kazi yako umesema ni maskini wa pesa, lakini unataka kubadilisha hiyo, si ndio?
Kweli.
Wewe unaona hii kazi yenye unafanya itakusaidiaje kama itasaidia aje wewe na pia sisi kama wananchi wa Kenya kubadilisha that narrative?
Malenga 001 situngi mashairi nilipwe, lakini kwa bahati nzuri nalipwa kwa sababu natunga mashairi. Na mimi wanasema success kwangu si kuwa na pesa nyingi, si kuzikwa na mamilioni. Success kwangu itakuwa ile siku ambapo sanaa ya ushairi itathaminiwa, ile siku ambayo watu watakuwa wana shughuli zao kama hizi, lakini haziwezi kamilika bila wasanii wa shairi kuitwa. Juzi tuliweza kumpoteza mshairi maarufu nchini Kenya, anaitwa Abdalla Mwasimba, na alipewa kipande kidogo kwenye ukurasa wa gazeti. Na mimi nilijiahidi nafsi yangu kwamba sitapumzika, nitapambana nitapigana mpaka ile siku mshairi akifa atapewa kurasa nzima ya gazeti.
Naam. Hapo sawa, si ndio? Umesema katiba ni mwiba.
Yeah.
Umesema katiba ni nini nyingine?
Ni msumeno ya kata mbele na nyuma.
Ya kata mbele na nyuma. Tunasherehekea miaka 10 ya katiba. Na hii wiki pia tunaangalia Democracy Week. Yeah. Unasema nini kuhusu hayo?
Kuhusu katiba naweza kusema katiba yetu si mbaya na katiba yetu haina makosa, lakini makosa yanakuja pale ambapo katiba haiheshimiwi. Katiba nadhani iko sawa hivi ilivyo. It is self dependent, iko sawa kabisa, lakini what is there to be done is for the duty bearers to respect the constitution.
Big up. The duty bearers to respect the constitution. A good way to end this conversation. Asante sana, Malenga 001. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for Malenga 001. A great presentation all the way from County 001, that's Mombasa County. And we hope when you're having the next Poetry Cafe, we'll have more Malengas, like you've said. We have the next person on stage, who will be Kikete FM. Woo! Woo! Kikete FM. Karibu sana on stage. We are looking forward to your performance. Take it up.
Thank you. So we all die. You can't control the why. But if you smoke too many cigarettes and cough your lungs out, is that coincidence or just plain old consequence? Like that late great MC from the NYC. He went platinum with that Capital Pan CD, but ate too much of that fast food crap, and before 2 years were up, he just blew up in a heart attack. The worst is to die without ever having been alive, because then on your grave would be engraved, "Here lies the one who never dared, a coward to the very end." Might not say it in your eulogy, but the mourners will whisper it quietly. But in the end though, seriously, even if you're buried in a suit, what's the use of wearing underpants? So now I'm gonna do a little extraction from, because the theme is defending democracy and we want to stick to it. So I'm going to do a small extract from one piece and then do another in its entirety. This piece is called Fat Cats. I'm just going to do the last verse. The truth is that the majority in this country are the minority priority. And the minority has convinced the majority that equity is an impossibility. And since the country is viewed from a slice the cake mentality and not the bake the cake necessity, limiting the number of people at the table becomes imperative to getting a bigger piece. That's the reasoning. But the tribals pushing this narrative, they ain't there as our representatives. They're using us to justify their thievery. That's why it's so sad to see my people falling for these swine schemes every time, elevating our communities as so-called disparities, when these are just diversities, the tributaries to the great river of our common purposes. Race, ethnicity, Islam, Christianity, these schisms blind us from our true essence. That nationhood, the stuff that's more than just lines on a map, it ain't about natural resources, it's about human relations. It grows from our connectedness, from experiencing each other, having a brother from another mother, a neighbor, and lover. Nina kidogo tu brother, njo harambe tujaze kibaba. Because the black in the flag, it means absence of all prejudice. And the white means all shades coming together for peace and love. So why we gotta bleed red again for the green of our land? I thought we were done with that. Wakati tulifukuza the white man, hata kama Mau waligongwa their land rights. This isn't democracy. This is tribal profiling. And if you think the tribes are 42, 44, I got news for you. They're just 1 and 2. There's just the fat cats and the chickens. The monkeys are the red-dressed woman in the matrix. Distractions. Hii story imesemwa sana bana. Tunajirudia sana. You can't walk alone and be an achiever. You have to stand on another man's shoulders to see clearer vision ya twiga. So let's take a pause. We'll come back to that. Tukimaliza ugonjwa, umaskini na ujinga, come back to jadili ni kabila gani superior. The fat cats of the deep state, they pay the monkeys of the Senate to shake their bright red tushes up high in the trees. And when the chickens stare up, counting votes, who's the reddest from them all? the naughty little fat cat kittens creep up and steal their eggs. Thank you. So I'm gonna do another one, and this one is it's one of the pieces that I consider a call to action for young people and the country in general. I mean, we all know if we were to use Nalongo's words, I mean, they might even shut us off this broadcast. So we'll stick to the ones that, are a little closer to the spectrum of decency, okay? Anyway, it doesn't matter if you believe in civil duty or nationality, or you're one of those me, myself, he, and I, till I die types. You live in a community. The health of the whole affects the well-being of one and all. But it's a quid pro quo. So the one, too, in their actions, inactions, grows or erodes the whole. This is why we must be involved, because silence is on the side of the oppressors. You can't sit back, let the others do all the work. Which others? Civil society. Now, I know you know that word means you and I have got to be a part of it. But we can't just fight these scheming bloodsuckers by tweeting hashtags from our toilet seats and forget all about it soon as we erase the rage with a wipe of the tissues. We went to vote, but the clerk with the count was short. We went to court, but the clown in a wig was bought. Nalongo can relate to that. So we went to the street protest, chanting slogans in million-man matches, and all we got was tear gas clashes from the big bad state dogs with batons and fire hoses, steel-toe boots and AK-47s, shooting us back home to talking heads on our television sets, throwing cliche phrases at social crisis and then call it analysis. And on the news, with a straight mascara face, the anchor basically says, big man is stealing taxes, youth man is snatching passes. Big man faces a commission of inquiry by his peers and is freed. Youth man faces the terror of the flying squad on the streets of Isli and is killed. But don't you worry about it. An opera of soaps is coming on next to wash away all the dirt in the linens. This is the reality of our existence. We pay the taxes and we still got to beg the state for favors to fund education and the public health situation. It would be just ironic if it wasn't so tragic. But it's all good. You're hungry too, but at least your clansman is on the throne. The blacks blame the whites. The pants, they blame the skirts. The young say it's the old who ruined it all. And on the morning after, we all head back to our paid slavery because we've been sold the lie that this little wage you have, protect it. Because if you fight for what you deserve, you might lose it. So we take it. Suffocating on our frustrations. Surviving on the heavenly opium of preacher man prophecies, cheap whiskeys, and Instagram sessions. Because obedience is easier than sacrifice. But what have we really got to lose but our chained lives? So which side are you on? Neutrality? Or are you going to join the revolutionaries? Those of us doing our little thing to lay the tracks so the change train can have a path. The teachers pointing curious minds to the galaxies of possibility beyond their faded chalkboards. The young women with big dreams blowing glass ceilings to smithereens. The poets inspiring lost souls with words and beautiful phrases. The griots recalling stories of the freedom fighters so we can dare to dream of better futures. The activists suffering the indignity of jail so that freedom can reign. The whistleblowers, the daring journalists, the single mothers, the caring philanthropists, and all the rest of them making the neighborhoods great. I look into your eyes, and there in you see a reflection of I. Because when you and I are unified, the revolution is amplified. So which side are you on? Because we're cleaning house. You got to make a choice. We're going after the fence-sitters, the hypocrites, the two-faced politicians, the deadbeat fathers and the mothers selling out their daughters, the climate change deniers, the dirty beards preying on little girls who haven't even grown their other hairs, the warmongers, the drunk drivers, the pimps and the drug slingers, the cyberbullies, the greedy bellies, the leeches, roaches, slouches, foxes in the hen houses, and all the rest of them, making the neighborhood stink. Bring them here. Bring them all here. We're cleaning house. You either change your ways and you're with us, or we chase your crazy bald heads out of town. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you.
When I first had like, ni radio, what's going on? So please tell us what's the inspiration behind the name?
You know, that's the danger of a single story. Chimamanda said it. FM is just initials of my name, so it's just a happy coincidence. Yeah, but I mean, if you are claiming a radio station for me in my future, I accept it.
You actually have it. The way manze unaongea, like, wow, FM.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great piece of work. And you said democracy. We don't have democracy. It's tribal profiling.
Yes.
That's like, that was like, wow, I want to hear more about this. Why did you come up with that?
I didn't have to come up with that. All Kenyans know this. They just do the same thing and pray to good old blonde, blue-eyed Jesus for a difference. Yeah, we are all aware that our politics is tribal. I mean, I don't think there's anyone in the audience who can dispute this. So this is not an invention of mine. Perhaps what I did was just to find some clever phrases to make it something you could present as a poem. But it's in discourse, in matatus and all over. We all know that we vote. It's tribal alliances. We have parties in this country that are very obviously and unashamedly tribal. They are based in those huts in the but it's, you know, I think it's something that the elite uses so that they can, because, you know, I in the piece I have, you know, the idea is that are we baking a cake, are we slicing it? If the issue is slicing it, you see there is that anxiety that the more we are, the smaller the slice. So the politician will tell us that he's representing us or she's representing us there for the slice. But once they get it, I mean, you know that I don't want to be incendiary, but the head of state has gained weight. I mean, that is a very literal metaphor. It's a very literal metaphor. Yeah, so I mean, I think we can just stop it there because, you know, I don't want to go to Luzira.
Okay. Very interesting. Already I can get your inspiration, and it's very powerful, and I'm encouraged by the work that you're doing. And when I look at this room, most of us are young people. And you talked about we cannot walk alone. We have to step on shoulders of people. So as young people in this country, when you're talking about, you know, Democracy Week and all, how do we find our way in stepping to shoulders? Or how do we best, you know, draw lessons from people who have been here before us?
Well, I think that the first thing is to organize situations or forums where the people on whose shoulders we want to stand can speak to us. And that's why I'm so happy. I was so excited to come because I told someone that I'm going to some place and Stella Nyanzi, Dr. Stella Nyanzi will be there. And she asked me, the one Stella Nyanzi? And I said, yes, the one who has her finger up the backside of a leopard. So these are the shoulders. I mean, there's a lot of boldness you can draw from that because activism is risky. And that's why I say, you know, we can't just fight these scheming bloodsuckers by twitching hashtags from our toilet seats and forget all about it as soon as we erase the rage with a wipe or the tissues. So that boldness is not easy. So it is necessary that we have, I could say, mentors or, you know, people that we consider of, you know, some notable achievement in the field of activism. These are important. They make us feel like, yeah, we can do it, you know, despite the cost that they have to, you know, endure as the people in the vanguard.
Okay. You talked about you want to limit your words when you're saying sitaki kuongezea mingi because and then you of course you talked about boldness is not easy. So I would like to find out challenges, you know, even because poetry, and of course you will talk about what is the place of poetry in terms of changing the society, what impact it has to the society. Maybe talk about the challenges and the impact of the poetry.
I can't speak of the impact. Someone else can do that, perhaps. But I can speak of my efforts. You know, I mean, the one thing I felt was that maybe, and sometimes when you say this, people think, but I think that the gap we have a lot of creative people, but maybe the messages they are channeling could improve. So the idea could be that, for example, if people are talking about changing the constitution, you could be an artist, a very good creative, but you do not understand which issues they want to change in the constitution. So you might be out there, speaking against something, perhaps very creatively, but it doesn't have the depth because perhaps you don't understand the issues very, very well. So I think we should have like a multi-sectoral allyship, so that you have guys from, NGO field, lawyers, guys. So if we have these kinds of, and then it can inform the creative output, so it can be more meaningful. Yeah, I think this is a challenge.
I think that's
but
a
we can
very powerful, how do we co-create, in a society to be able to put out our issues more powerfully. That is very powerful of you, Kikete FM, and we are so proud of having you on stage. Thank you so much. Awesome, another round of applause for Kikete. That was a great performance, and moving on swiftly because we are running out of time. I will welcome Goofy. Goofy! Is Goofy in the house? Karibu sana Goofy. Karibu on stage, take it out.
Hi. Saseni.
Koa.
Allow me to use this. I've just taken a stand. Someone told me it's not good to have pride. So right now that's a by the way. So really? Check. Perfect. Hi. Yeah, this is good. So turn to the person seated next to you, tell him or her, because you're here, everything is fine. It doesn't mean when we are talking about democracy and human rights, we should have these sad faces. Unajua? Like, it should also be fun. That's why I'm here, to just lighten up kiasi, because look at this, yeah? I know all of you are bright guys over here, but why the dull face? Why? I make sense at kidogo, but yeah, it's cool. So my name is Goofy. I'm a performing poet and a filmmaker, and I'm so happy to be here after a long while. So yeah, so I'm going to do two pieces. I'm going to do a reading, and then I'll finish it off with a performance piece. So here it goes. Every day that I wake, I have fought everything else that's out to kill me. Okay, let's do that again. Every day, I have fought everything that's out to kill me. Love, school, my mathematics teacher, my mothers, the police, the people, Nakuru, my hometown, and I remember every single day, including days I don't want to wake up, I tried to kill me. So I speak with a heavy heart. There's no more poems in me. They refuse to marry my metaphors. They refuse to be recited on stages. They refuse to be published in books until I tell them it's safe. They keep whispering of how tired they are. I shouldn't summon them if the world won't change an inch. I shouldn't call them if I can't feed myself from it. I shouldn't say their name if I still can't seduce a girl from it. I shouldn't even say I'm a poet if I'm still called a failed rapper from it. So I fought the night and woke up only to realize there's no more poems in me. They refuse to be sung in theaters. They refuse to be used as wedding vows. They refuse to be used and plastered on protest banners until I tell them it's safe. I shouldn't even have them on my lips. I shouldn't even scribble them on sandy beaches. I shouldn't be telling you this if there's someone worrying about their kids, their school fees, if there's someone without a munch, there's no meal, if the government steal our funds and they walk free, if people get their houses demolished in the middle of a pandemic, they fight being homeless in the pandemic too. If we sit and watch without raising our voices, these poems have refused to come out of me. If our kids end up dead on the streets, if we praise the police for shooting them, harassing them, if these streets ain't safe for us all, these poems don't want to come out of me and I'm worried. What do I do without these poems? These poems know me well. They feed me. These poems make my mother smile, the type of smile that warms my scared heart. These poems make you happy. They erase our problems. These poems are Black Jesus. They are Wangare Maathai. They are Luther. They are Munyeke. They are the hope we carry every day we wake. These poems are spirits of the ones who came before us, the ones who fought for us to live as we do. These poems are the letters and transcripts for the ones to come. These poems should let them know we fought, we chanted, and we sang for an ounce of better. So I sing and someone chants. I clap my hands like church in Negro times for these poems to come out, but they've refused to answer my prayers. They've refused to be stacked in stanzas. They've refused to relieve my times until I tell them it's safe. They've refused to spark uprisings. They've refused to be sung in songs. They've refused to be hung on walls. They've refused to further this cause until I tell them it's safe. So I stamp my feet and thump my chest. I've known these words for far too long, and I still can't hear the voices in my head until I tell them it's safe. So every day that I wake, I have fought everything else that's out to kill me. Love for this country has tried to kill me. School has tried to kill me. My mathematics teacher said literature won't make me rich. She tried to kill me. When I looked away for a second and the boiling milk spilled, my two mothers have tried to kill me. I was once arrested for protesting and the officer said they would shoot me and no one will say a thing. The police have tried to kill me. I'm here though, but I'm dead inside. And when I shared this story, some people said I shouldn't be on the streets. I deserve to be shot. The people have tried to kill me. I was forced to run away from town because of my tribe. Nakuru has tried to kill me. And I remember those days, including the days I didn't want to wake up. I tried to kill me. So I speak with a heavy heart. There's people who have died and these poems won't come out until justice is given to them. Yasin Moyo, Kamis Juma, Calvin Somondi, David Kiru, Peter Gasheru, Eric Ngede, and all those we haven't known yet. There's no more poems in me until I tell them it's safe. But how do you talk to dead people? Thank you. Cool. So my second piece is called To Live Here. Yeah, let's go. To live here is to live in fear. You don't know if this life is yours. You don't know if you own anything else that isn't your thoughts. Your mind might be the only place that feels like home, but only if you don't share your raging thoughts. Here, the loud ones, the smart ones, the nosy ones, they disappear. Here, the trees in Kikuyu and the bushes in the Mau know more about missing people than the ones who took them. Here, we wish trees could speak, but they too are being cut down. Here, trees wish we could speak, but we too are being gunned down. Here, we forget names like Willie Kimani, Baby Pendo. Here, you'll be shot whether you are a lawyer, a taxi driver, or unauza nyama pare gara. Here, body bags have more work than the youths in this place. Here, the government eats its own people. 1 minute you're with them, the next you're dead and gone. A moment of silence for Evans Njoroge. To live here is to embody Koleka Putuma. Collective amnesia stays within us. Here, we forget to count after every 5 years. Here, thieves use their loot as manifestos to kickstart their careers. Here, we are one foolish people. Here, thieves appear in top 30, 40, and 50, and at top 30, 40, and 50. Here, golf gets more funding than the education kitty. Here, we cannot complain because our shots at good governance have always been under par. To live here is to constantly think of death. Here, You have to look right, then left, then right, then left, then right, then left. When crossing a one-way road, to live here is to constantly think of death. Here, you can get a brain surgery when you checked in with a cold. Here, cartels run a hospital. Here, criminals have a hospital. Here, rapists have a hospital. Here, our mothers have to worry about their newborn and the thoughts of rape as well. Here, we use suggestion boxes to help our rape victims like Dear K and H. Your morgue attendant didn't have time for foreplay. Dear K and H, y'all can take my baby anytime, just don't do that shit behind my back. Dear K and H, y'all should standardize the market price your nurses sell our babies for. Dear K and H, I named my baby Advantage so it's easier for you to take it. Dear K and H, how many lives have you broken? How many families have you broken? How many more will you continue to take because the people of this country are too downtrodden to speak? To live here is to continuously light a candle for the many deaths we invite into our lives. Here, we are quick to remember the silly stuff and always remember the things that hurt us the most. Here, we cannot complain because we are comfortable with heavy taxation, a rogue police unit, a dormant constitution, a fast-ending forest cover, deaths upon deaths and deaths upon deaths. So tell me, are you proud to live here? Thank you.
Goofy. By the way, got by the way. When you homie. All the way from Nakuru.
Yeah,
Awesome. Manze, I appreciate. That's a very good performance. And from your performance, I can tell your current issues are on point. Manze, give big up.
Thank you.
So I was wondering, you said your love for this country is killing you.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Man, Kenya is a beautiful country, but the way it's being run is very ugly. So I can't be waking up every day to hear my people have been shot down, wamekula pesa health, the roads are badly maintained. Like, we have nothing to show. Like, I'm a very young man, I've worked hard all these years, but if I wake up today, I have nothing to show for it. I can't even brag that. Even if I don't have nothing, say if I fall sick today, healthcare is going to trouble me for so long. So it's a beautiful country, but it's killing me. It has killed my dreams. It has killed my hopes because corruption is everywhere. And since corruption is everywhere, it cripples so many things that we cannot get even basic things like art spaces in Nairobi or Kenya. For photographers, you have to go through so many channels so that you can just earn a living, filmmakers, any artist out there. Even for the common mwananchi, you know, it's just trickled down to dead dreams. Yeah.
Manze, una respond nasikia tu ni kama poetry. You know? Ama mnasikia aje nyinyi? So I was wondering, why did you choose poetry to change or to talk about the issues in your community? And you really highlighted Nakuru so much. I was like, hey, probably we need to do a collab and change our whole hometown.
My hometown is Nakuru. I came to Nairobi in 2012 to study. So I did film production in school. And one of the things that I learned from a very young age is a good artist is someone who reflects the times and tell stories that people can relate to. So I am not, okay, as much as it's contentious, I cannot be an artist if I cannot say what is happening around my country. So if these things are affecting me, then it means those are the stories that I need to tell. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. You said you left Nakuru for Nairobi.
Yes.
In 2012. Of course, I was just wondering, what are you doing to mentor other artists, either in Nakuru or in Nairobi? And who has mentored you as well?
Well, over the years, we've had a couple of programs running in Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret. Just to mention a few, we have Upgrade Poetry in Nakuru. It's a monthly spoken word poetry event that has been happening in Nakuru for 7 years now. if you looked at Nakuru 7 years ago, there was no poetry event, or there was no space that supported artists. So I started that in Nakuru, and it has been going on for 7 years. So many people have come through it. So many people have started their careers off it. So many people are, I know it's a very wrong term to say, but they have found a stepping stone towards their next level. So we've had so many people through this journey. We also run Slum Africa as an organization called Creative Spills, where we assemble 9 of the fast rising poets, and we make them compete for them to be crowned either Slum Africa champion, which also furthers their capabilities out there. There are international poetry events that are happening. So through that channel, they get to interact with other people. We do workshops, we travel, we do open mics. So it's just been a long years of doing this chini ya maji, but the impact has now like spread all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well done. So I was just wondering, you've talked about the different initiatives you have in Nakuru and beyond. So I was wondering, now that we are celebrating Democracy Week, you know, what is the place for poetry moving forward? Of course, umesema mliwekwa chini ya maji na mmeona impact ina trickle to beyond that. So I want to hear, and all of course we are young people here, you can also tell us what is that thing that we also need to do, and how then can we also support poetry to be able to advocate some of these issues?
The thing that I just want all the people to know is poetry or any art form is not a side gig, you know. It's not those things that you use for fillers just because you have some few 15 minutes in between a program. So you say, okay, let's call this poet, Akuja, fill this space. We are intellectual people. We're very smart. We're very out there. So we should be accorded more space and time when these forums happen. From the start, it's not when a big forum is happening, so now the poets are being called last minute or a week to the event. We need to be there as part of these processes so that we can also learn how these things go, how policies are made, how we can simplify that information to the audiences that follow us, so that this change can actually go to everyone, not just a few people. So for the change makers, policy makers out there, indulge us just from the start. We have programs that we've created, we have curriculums, we have workshop systems that if they can be used and adapted by different agencies or different corporations, the message of democracy and human rights can reach everyone and anyone. Because contrary to popular belief, spoken word it's a big movement. And it's one of the arts that is being consumed on the regular, on grassroots level, because that is the language people understand. So if we are consulted from the start and made part of these progresses, then I think that's the way to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the partners in the house, have you heard that? They need to be involved. Co-creation is a constant thing. And maybe a shout out also to the partners of this event. Forum Civ, yay! Power 254, yay! Siasa Plays, yay! And all the audience, yay! Thank you so much, Goofy. You named your kid Advantage.
Yes, so that they can take it. Thank you very much.
What a powerful, thank you so much. Another round of applause. Wow, wow. As you can hear, the message that is being passed on by the poets today is co-creation. As policymakers, as decision makers, we need to include them also in the process of changing, of advancing democracy in this country. So moving on, I would like to welcome a very well-known artist in Kenya, poet, sorry, not artist, yeah, he's an artist, but yeah, he's a poet as well. So I'd like to welcome Mufasa. Woo! Mufasa, welcome.
Thank you very
Take it
much.
up.
The title of this poem is What's Cutting? Cutlery. I make a living out of a poem. I make bread come off a paragraph. I must be something. Or part of something numeral. People like us are always used that way. Organizations. Ngoja kwanza. Hey, there's some heat and some energy up here. Ngoja kwanza. Because of Corona, we haven't been doing events for long, by the way. What's cutting? Cutlery. I make a living out of a poem. I make bread come off a paragraph. I must be something, or part of something numeral. People like us are always used that way. Again, the piece is refusing. Have you noticed? Do I go to another piece? Okay, let me confirm the last time. This is the last time. It's a numbers game. The youth are not playing, they are paying for the game. My understanding is people who stand for the youth stand on the youth, but the youth have no stand. It's a country of have and have-nots. People who have the notes have the note to take from the youth, then pay the youth to lie they have what they don't have. If Kirinyaga is rising, why are young people paid to tweet about it? Every morning the sun rises, no one asks us to tweet about it because we can all see it. See? Nothing is like it used to be. Radio lost the rhythm, and we don't go out to get air and play. In fact, the rap game done changed, not just the beats, they lack the beat where they have something to say. Keshaka would make us come alive, but now we're just living a beat. Today, Savo is burning, Mao is falling, the rivers are leaving, the weather is faulting, and contrary to what we were told, the future is not in our hands. What we have is a phone with features. While we were still on Instagram, they were stealing our geography features. No playgrounds, just buildings. So if babies cannot be babies, they don't blame them for cussing, for hanging onto a phone instead of hanging onto a swing. I mean, all these people we have, all these learned people we have, and yet the only science we know is to dissolve after 5 years. But when will we become a solution? I mean, people who steal should need pace to run into hiding, right? Except when you're the first president, or the second, or elected. The boy who jumped into State House, they call him disturbed. They call him a maniac, as if to call him jobless, to call him angry, to call him neglected youth would not make news. The newspapers need news to make news. Maybe the next time they will call him a zombie. They will call him a maniac. They will call him a walking dead. Vision 2030 is walking dead. A dirge, a eulogy praising the future already dead to us. I'm not saying our leaders are uncanny. I'm saying our leaders will come collect votes at our funerals. They will use a body in a coffin to resurrect their ambition. How did we get here? When we asked for a miracle, I thought we wanted the Lazarus amongst us to rise again, but here we go, Barnabas. We want the thief, we want the thief. Since 1963, politicians have been using dead Christmas trees to give Kenyans wishing for a new year. Every year, especially this year. Thank you. Now, my mother, I don't know about your mother, but my mother, for real, my mother is amazing at exaggerating. What? My mother will say, Kibet, nikutuangia chabo sais, mimi nikupigie chabo. So nanguka hapa chini. Kwanza yangu ni elea, ngozi natoka peke yake hivi. I don't know about your mother, but when I was a kid, my mother did not like it when we looked tired in front of her. My mother would ask, sasa umechoka nini? Umechoka kujilipia school fees? Ama umechoka kujilipia rent? Oh, umeamuka ukasema tu wacha nichoke. I don't know about your mother, but this one time when I had a full-page feature on a newspaper, and my mother saw it. My mother called me and told me, Kibet, nimekuogopa. Po, nimekuogopa. Nani? Unajua hata Ruto akigonga gazeti, unakatanga miguu. Yako gusa. The first time I carried packed lunch to school, my mother packed for me bread and tea. That morning, as I watched my mother pour hot tea into a plastic tin, which was to carry the tea in, my mother's words were, "Pass, mtoto ende kunywa chai moto shule." The truth that my mother could have shared in that moment was the fact that plastic tins don't keep things hot. Our mothers, strong, rock, raised us, groomed us, broken, uneducated mothers raising learners. But learning your mother's tongue will not teach you to understand your mother's pain. Our mothers, they stay. More often than not, it's our fathers who leave. So if a country is its people, then our mothers are raised in this country. Our mothers. What does it mean to be a child without your mother's hands? I mean, if cleanliness is next to godliness, then our mothers will be God's neighbors in heaven. Our mothers. No one hurts like mothers when stray bullets jump off police guns and land on the chests of their children. Tell them it's their children who stray into straight bullets, they will still hold their breath. That's how they die, by not breathing. By not breathing, they're not leaving. It's mothers who live the nightmares of children who don't live their dreams. Their hearts are graveyards for all the dreams that died. They wear a black skin for all the funeral services inside their body. Our mothers, chest out of parliament for breastfeeding a child. A house more important than motherhood. People we pay sitting allowances to stand for something won't even stand for a mother and a child. As if this country has not grown on the backs of our mothers bending from the weight of carrying this nation, this country, folding our mothers' backs for high taxes that don't come back to have their back. In fact, very soon, mothers will be taxed for being in the business of raising their children. My mother, every time someone asks me where I come from, I say Eldoret. Where my mother lives is home. A home is where you belong. The hands of men have built houses, but our mother's hands have built homes. My mother is not tall. My mother is stretched by a sense of longing. I know a mother raising a disabled child. I know a mother whose eldest son is jobless. That makes her ageless. Mother being mother. Mother still playing mother. Mothers are always playing mother. Mothers have been stretched through time. Mothers have been denied time. Their time is our time. In fact, some of them are in the market right now. By the time they get home, what's theirs will be ours. I wish they had more to share. I wish people would add to their basket, not take from what is there. What is there is not enough to share. This county has scarves who kick our mothers' baskets in the street. It's not their food. It's our food. It's what they do. Our mothers share. I'm not saying everything should go our mother's way. I'm saying, look outside the window. Highways are for motorcades, but our ways home are full of potholes. We've made holes feel at home. I can trace holes into my mother's house, into my mother's heart. Thank you very much.
Do you enjoy it? Can I say hi to you on camera?
Yeah.
You know, you're so famous. Like, your work is out there. So I was like, let me grab this moment. Well done. We keep on being inspired by the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
So I would like to maybe ask, what keeps inspiring you to do amazing pieces like this?
I'd say life experience. And then the other thing would be just having a vision of a life that I wish I had. Wishing that I lived in a better world, and then the fact that I can use poetry to somehow influence the realization of that dream.
Powerful, powerful. So I was wondering, you have done so much in the poetry, and you've really given poetry the sort of the acknowledgement it deserves, in Kenya at least. So I was wondering, have you mentored any people, upcoming poets, and who mentored you to be where you are today?
Mimi ni kama nani, I'm like Yego online. I use YouTube. But yeah, basically a lot of YouTube. And I think for me, it's not even about poets. Rather, I'm influenced by people generally who do powerful things, and I translate that now into writing. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm a mentored or I'm inspired by a poet necessarily. I've been inspired by leaders. I've been inspired by dancers. Yeah.
I actually get when you say you're inspired, because you said, there's a line you said about the sun. No one pays someone to keep the sun rising.
Yeah.
So I think that was,
about it.
yeah, so that was really powerful. And I'm just wondering, as you have done, how long have you done this poetry?
I don't want to say my age, but it's been a while. It's been a while. But probably 7-8 years, yeah.
Okay, and what do you think has been the impact of the work that you've done 8 years on?
Okay, I won't speak about my impact, but I'll just generally say that way years back, I remember like earlier on, you would say spoken word and no one would know what you're talking about. And right now, even my mother knows spoken word. My mother will say, spoken word? My mother, at least now, people know about it. Along 5 years ago, people didn't know spoken word. Every time they would ask you, you would invite them to an event, and they would say, which event is this? And this is spoken word. And they say, what's that? And you say poetry, and they're like, you know, when someone says poetry, it's like the poetry in school. So you can imagine, why would I pay to go watch poetry? You're like, And then they say, it's not my thing.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, you don't know. It's your thing. But now I don't even need to say that. Right now I didn't need to say that. Basically, there's been growth in terms of audience accepting spoken word. And not just an audience in terms of people, but organizations. All these people have accepted spoken word. You're invited to the media to speak about something, not just for entertainment anymore. Like we're invited because of what we speak about, what we write about. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you talked about having been in the space for 8 years,
Yeah.
and you talked about 5 years. People didn't know about poetry and spoken word.
Yeah.
So what kept you moving, just to inspire that poet in the community? What should be that thing that keeps inspiring them to do do poetry?
Okay, I think for me personally, apart from just the fact that with poetry, for me it's two things. One, the fact that I can influence. I can influence people's critical thinking. I can influence someone's reaction to something. I can make something look really worse. Sometimes something happens and you're like, but now someone explains further and you're like, yenyewe ilikuwa mbaya. You know, like, so just influence people's thinking, influence people's basically acceptance of things and the defiance of other things that are not right. The other bit is, for me, is experiencing myself as well, interacting with myself. Interacting and writing to things that bully me, writing to things that rule me, writing to things that make me fear, and helping myself overcome these things and hopefully translating it to others.
Great. And for sure you influence, and that's what we celebrate of the work that you're doing. So my final question, what in terms of democracy, as a poet, how do you envision? Because poets sometimes also help us reflect, even sort of forward thinking into the future. So in terms of democracy in Kenya, where do you think, where are we headed? And we are talking about the constitution now, review, and just coming up with another constitution. Where do you think we are headed in terms of?
So for me, as a poet who writes about democracy, about social justice, I believe that the more of us that are in this space, the more open it is, the more it is okay for us to speak about injustice, even in the media, anywhere else. At least we prevent that shrinking space. At least we need to widen and create that space where people can talk and it's allowed. So before the government or anyone else tries to, shrink that space, it's too big for them. So I think continuously we have to keep doing that. The other bit is, I really envision a future where a poet who speaks against election fraud, against police brutality, against corruption, against bad governance, is not necessarily an activist. I don't think you need to be an activist to do this. I really wish for a future where everyone speaks about these things, because these things affect all of us. There's no one person fighting for all. Let's all fight. It makes even better when people fighting against the evil one are more. rather than just always depending on one person to fight for you. Yeah.
Awesome. So what Mufasa is telling us that we should be all active citizens. Manze,
Yes.
big up, big up.
Thank you very
Really
much.
appreciate.
By the way, to make Kabila perform, it's been a while. More events should come now. The government should open the space. We're waiting. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, indeed, the government should open the space. And I really like his mother. He said, the mother said, wow, the work that you're doing. Actually, the newspaper covered you full page. Si kama Ruto mwenye anakuwa covered half. So I think definitely poetry has a space in terms of advancing democracy in this country. So as we talk about advancing democracy in this country, we are honored to have a powerful, powerful woman in the house. And when I heard that she's coming, you know, I sort of digged into, of course I've heard so much about her, and of course I went to dig deep what she has done and how, and what has been her journey. And she has been in prison. And they say when you're sometimes confined, you sort of write so much. And she wrote a whole collection of poetry. That was so powerful. I'm like, wow, if I was in prison, you know, I call myself an active citizen, but imagine if I was in prison, would I be writing a whole collection of poetry? So I think for me, that was very inspiring. And of course, she talks about how radical rudeness, because we've done a lot of demonstrations, you know, all these things, but then somehow the system is still stiff for us. For her now, she's using radical rudeness and poetry to be able to change you know, the oppression in Uganda. So we are happy to have her today, and I would like to welcome her to be able to, you know, perform a few pieces, and then after that we'll have a conversation with her. So welcome so much, Stella Nyanzi. You are a great inspiration, as many of the poets have said, you're a great inspiration to us as a continent, as a young people, as women. We are so proud of you, Stella Nyanzi. Yes, please have a seat. Karibu sana. That is welcome. Good. At least you know a bit of Swahili. You know, most Ugandans don't know Swahili, so I'm happy that you know.
I was a refugee here, so I learned the languages. Oh, whoops.
Sorry.
Yes, so I was saying as a refugee in Kenya, and so I had to learn the language. I'm not very fluent, but I can. Naweza kusema kidogo tu.
Hey, way! What a powerful woman. You're a great inspiration
Thank
for us.
you.
Not just Uganda, not just East Africa, but also Africa. So we are proud of you.
Thank you. Do you want a microphone as well?
Okay. No, they're telling me to sit.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes. So I would like to give you a chance to maybe tell us about your poetry, and then you can maybe perform a few pieces, and then you can have a conversation about them.
Right, so hi guys. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited particularly because of the reception. In my country, my poetry is dangerous and it's never acknowledged. It's been to court twice, it's been tried, and so it's very good to be in a house where people are affirming. The affirmation, especially when, sorry guys, I'm a bit emotional because I don't get affirmed often. If anything, I'm often criticized and shamed because of what I write. But I insist on writing, and I want to appreciate very much, sorry guys, I want to appreciate very much Forum Sieve and the other partners for allowing me to be here. I am shaking, guys, because the first poem that I want to perform, I wrote in September 2018. It's the birth month of our president. I call him Dictator Museveni. Mate, if you're here, please come and help me. My hands are shaking too much. If you can help me turn the poem on. And so I want, out of rebellion and protest during Democracy Week, to perform this poem that is not part of the collection that I wrote in jail. It's the only poem that I'm going to read that comes from a place of disgust. Are there any people below 18 years in the room? Because I'm going to talk about vaginas and clitoris. If you're there, It is not my showery. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's not going to be my fault because I'm not apologetic about what I write. In my country, it's dangerous to write poetry. And so I want to celebrate all the poets in the house. I want to celebrate everybody who writes from a place of fright, from a place of this is all I have to give. For those of us who refuse to be silent, this is Democracy Week. And so here's 3 years now, 2018. 2019, I spent in prison because of this poem. 2020, I'm out of prison. Yoweri Museveni, it's his birthday. No, birth month. It was his birthday when? So I wrote this on 16th of September 2018. If you're scared of vaginas, be very afraid because here we go. Yoweri, they say it was your birthday yesterday. How bitterly sad a day. I wish the smelly and itchy cream-colored candida festering in Esitery's cunt had suffocated you to death during birth. Suffocated you just like you are suffocating us with oppression, suppression, and repression. Yoweri, they say it was your birthday yesterday. How painfully ugly a day. I wish the lice-filled bush of dirty pubic hair, overgrown all over Esitery's unwatched choo-choo, had strangled you at birth. Strangled you just like the long tentacles of corruption you sowed and watered into our bleeding economy. Yoweri, they say it was your birthday yesterday. How nauseatingly disgusting a day. I wish the acidic pus flooding Esitery's cast vaginal canal had burnt your unborn fetus. Burnt you up as badly as you have corroded all morality and professionalism out of our public institutions in Uganda. Yoweri, they say it was your birthday yesterday. How horrifically cancerous a day. I wish the infectious, dirty brown discharge flooding Esitery's loose pussy had drowned you to death. Drowned you as vilely as you have sunk and murdered the dreams and aspirations of millions of youths who languish in the deep sea of massive unemployment and underemployment in Uganda. Yoweri, they say it was your birthday yesterday. How traumatically wasted a day. It's a wasted day. I wish that the poisoned uterus sitting just above Esitery's dry clitoris had prematurely miscarried, a thing to be cast upon a manure pit. Prematurely miscarried, just like you prematurely aborted any semblance of democracy, good governance, and rule of law. Yoweri, they say it was your birthday yesterday. How morbidly grave a day. I wish that Esitery's cast genitals had pushed out a monstrously greenish-bluish stillbirth. You should have died at birth, you dirty delinquent dictator. You should have died in birth, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And I finished that poem with a call to the police. If they want to beat me up, they can find me at my house. They should ask the border men for the red-colored get where Mama Stella lives. And to be sure, 3 months later, I was arrested and detained, and I spent a month. And I wasn't charged for a month, and then I spent 15 months in maximum prison, maximum security prison. Luzira, somebody mentioned Luzira. And I want to celebrate everybody who hashtagged Free Stella Nyanzi. I want to celebrate everybody who hashtagged bold like Nyanzi. I want to, for me, Power 254 is a temple, it's a shrine where goddesses and gods cried for my freedom, where people collected and read my poetry and read poems about me. Somebody who was seated behind me just now sent me a poem on their phone, and they were writing about women such as myself. And so I thank you very much, Power 254. I've come home to worship.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here. So when I was in prison, I was arrested and detained and found guilty and sentenced and then acquitted because of one poem. When I was in prison, I went to the walls and I wrote graffiti with poetry. In the toilets, I left my name. I didn't have paper, and then I sent for paper, and I wrote so many poems. About 2/3 of them were confiscated and destroyed. A few of them survived, hidden in the bras of people who visited me in prison, hidden in bread sandwiches, hidden in the shoes of people who visited me, smuggled out of the prison. And I want to celebrate this book. It's called No Roses from My Mouth, because they wanted to choke us, but we kept working and kept writing. And although my name is on the book alone, there were very many people who smuggled these poems out. I want to recognize Caroline from HBF, who's in the audience, because HBF somehow found the collective of people smuggling my poems out and said, Stella, we shall publish these poems in a book. And on the day of my release, the day I was acquitted, and they said she was never guilty, she was expressing her freedom of expression. Internet must be free. Uganda has no jurisdiction over a poem written on social media. When I was released, the first thing I got in court was this book. And HBF has a second edition. Maybe Carol will talk about that when I finish reading a few more poems. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Carol has given everybody in the house free copies, but I'll let HBF speak that on their own. Okay, so when I was in prison, I was like the shamed Ugandan woman. So poetry has a lot of impact. People have shared about the good impact. It can also bring you shame. It can bring you negative labels. The day we had Women in Democracy, we talked about labels. And so people were saying she must be embarrassed, she's immoral. I was accused of being immoral, I was accused of immorality. And so I wrote this poem to explain to people to take their negative projections of shame away from me. And they'd said to me, you're a shame to the nation, you've been in prison because of your poetry. That poem wasn't so bad, guys, was it? The vagina wasn't so bad, was it? But I welcome vaginas if the only thing that's going to cause offense to Museveni is the vagina. Let's write about our vaginas. Or you brothers, you can write about our vaginas. The dictators will be shamed. So the next poem is called Honor Instead of Shame. And it's about my prison experience, for those of you who think it's only criminals who end up in jail. I wear this maximum security prison as one wears a medallion of honor. You see, for me, there is no shame in being in jail. I show off this prison sentence as an American officer boasts his Medal of Honor. I celebrate this punishment in prison as Virgin Mary endured her pregnancy of Jesus. Hallelujah. I persevere through this detention as Joseph braved the cellars in Potiphar's house. I fortify myself with Daniel in the lion's den. I look up to Paul and Silas in jail. Their testimonies were born in the womb of prison. I am here as neither petty offender nor as a hardened hardcore criminal. I am here as a prisoner of conscience. Stella Nyanzi, a prisoner of conscience. I am here as a political prisoner. Just Stella Nyanzi, but still a political prisoner. I am here as an example to other regime critics. My incarceration serves to deter other truth tellers. They don't want you to speak the truth. I am here supposedly as a fallen dissident. Oh yes, I'm a dissident. They think I have fallen, but wait, I will arise. I am a mirror to those who silence truth. I am here as a writer punished for a poem. My heartfelt poem offended the dictator. And so I stand tall in this prison. I am a prisoner with honor, not shame. Right. The third piece that my team thought I should perform is really an encouragement to those who were almost murdered by their literature teachers. Goofy, how are you? Goofy in the house still, or has he gone? You're good, Goofy. Good if you're good. So I want to encourage in this Democracy Week that we teach the nation poetry. It's a nice poem, don't worry, guys. No more cursing, no more swearing. Sometimes I'm clean, sometimes I make sense. A lot of times I'm dirty, and that too is intense. Okay, so teach the nation poetry. Teach the nation poetry. Why? Deployments of anti-riot police cannot shoot tear gas at rhymes. Tear gas at rhymes. They cannot disperse the rhythm of our poems. Imagine tear gas and rhythm, eh? Teach the nation poetry. Forgotten masses will pack our pain in stanzas. That pain can go into those stanzas. Those stanzas will pierce the core of the tyranny. Raw poems hit harder than your platitudes. Those platitudes, those platitudes, those platitudes. Our poems hit harder than your polite platitudes. Teach the nation poetry. Handcuffs cannot contain the potency of poems. Imagine bringing handcuffs to capture our poems. Arrest warrants cannot disappear memorized verse. Poetry can never be detained in jail. Teach the nation poetry. Investigating detectives and crime solvers cannot decipher metaphors, similes, or symbols. Remember what they did to my simile and metaphor of Matako Butako? Investigating detectives cannot decipher our metaphors. Their charge sheets will never ever make sense. Imagine a charge sheet saying, Matako Butako. Teach the nation poetry. To write it, to recite it, to perform it, to interpret it, to eat it, to feed it, and to live it. Poems of the oppressed will oppress the oppressor. Again, poems of the oppressed will oppress the oppressor. One last time, poems of the oppressed will oppress the oppressor. Poems will transport us to freedom. Shall I do one last one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Caroline, who is the money bags behind the book, thinks that I am a feminist. And because I'm a feminist, she thinks that all feminists love me. All feminists in the house, hello? Hello. All feminists in the house, hi.
Hi.
So I have a poem called Feminists in High Heels. Any feminists in high heels, hi. Are you there? So my friend Caroline, who's the money bags, wears high heels. This is the best attempt at high heels that I've ever made. And this poem I want to send out to all women who think we are homogenous. Everybody who thinks feminists mean the same thing. I dedicate this poem to you. Feminists in high heels. Feminists in high heels stick their noses in the air and sniff at my dust-covered sneakers. They point their tight breasts at patriarchy and smirk at my saggy bust. They push their bottoms outwards as if they never shit. They deem my activism too grounded. She's too dirty to be one of us. Stella Nyanzi is too dirty to be one of us. Feminists in power suits shake their ponytails. And they ridicule my three-piece kitengi. They cling onto their briefcases and shun my papyrus kikapu. They stretch forward their manicured hands and sneer at my short-trimmed fingernails. They deem my advocacy too radical. She's too hot to be one of us. Stella Nyanzi is too radically hot to be one of us. Feminists drunk with religion roll their judgmental eyes heavenward. And they shandaramamamamarobokosia kosa at my brazenness. They finger their leather-bound scriptures and distance themselves from my activism. They pray and praise and tithe, but keep away from the trenches. They dim my praises too immoral. She's too worldly to be one of us. Happy Democracy Week, people.
Happy Democracy Week. Woo! Woo, 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 woo. First of all, Stella Nyanzi, powerful poems right
Thank you.
there. And welcome to the shrine.
Thank you very much. I love the shrine. We are worshiping whoever it is we worship that gives us the muse to write.
Yeah, yeah. So welcome so much. I'm so inspired with the Teach the Nation poetry.
Thank you.
And when we're talking about Democracy Week, we're talking about how do we use, the different talents we have to be able to advance democracy. So what continuously keeps you pushing? Because I mean, you've been in prison 18 months, and just one piece of poetry sort of shook the nation. And of course, East Africa, because we're all saying free Stella Nyanzi. What keeps you pushing and doing what you do?
I mean, my hunger. My hunger, my anger, my disgust, my frustration, He said his envisioning of tomorrow, the poet just before I came, the one whose mama is amazing at exaggeration. So the envisioning, that envisioning of tomorrow that's better. I want it better for my kids. I've been called a bad mama, a failed mama. You had a miscarriage in prison. You left your children when you're a single mama and you're doing 15 months in jail. The idea that this mama is thirsting for a good Uganda for her children keeps me going. There's no alternative. For me, there's none anyway. What keeps me going is the belief that we can make life better for ourselves. And it's going to be me and him and him and her and her and her. And each of us has a role to play in Kiswahili, in Luganda. I celebrate the Kiswahili Mombasa guy. And those people who are also doing Kiswahili and English. Because, tano tano sita saba taxi inanichoka. Because I'm not fortunate to be able to write poetry in Luganda. If I wrote in Luganda, the culture elders, the clan elders would denounce me. But I can write in English, which is a colonized language. And for me, it's the dream for freedom, the dream that one day we shall be free. That's why I write, and I do what I do. I wake up to do it. One of us said he doesn't want to wake up because they kill him. I insist on being here and being alive and making it better and just being alive, not surviving, but being alive and participating in making it better. That inspires me.
Okay. You are an academia. You come from the academia, and then you moved to activism. And of course, you're an artist, so that is activism. And you talked about, there's an interview that you did, and you said demonstrations are not moving or shaking the systems in Uganda. And you talked about now radical rudeness and poetry is the one that will shake. And maybe you can tell us because one of the things that we are also struggling with Kenya, even just in our constitution, we have the freedom of expression. And we are currently in court as a creative economy working group because of a film that was done on Rafiki. And it's about LGBTQ. I would like to, just maybe help us also reflect inwards to see how can we continuously advocate for this freedom, and especially freedom of expression. And I like the way you talked about you cannot tear gas the rhythms, the lines. So I really want you to shed more light on that as well.
Right, so I'm a protester, guys. I'm an activist. I've used everything there is to use. I believe in non-violence. In Uganda, we are fighting against a very violent, murderous dictator. He has guns, he shoots people. We have mass graves, we have safe houses. Do you know about safe houses? Okay, so you have safe houses. So a safe house is not a safe house, not the witness protection safe house, but the ones where you disappeared into. You have the same? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. And I have seen how those of us in the non-violent movement have been choked, suffocated, how we get arrested, how we get detained, how we get pulled and sucked into litigation or cases in court that never end. I have 6 right now that are ongoing because of I'm a protester. I'm protesting about COVID-19 food relief that hasn't come. I'm protesting around the closure of arcades. I don't know if you know what arcades are, shopping malls that have to be paid rent for. And I think that for me, while demonstrations are very powerful, they're also very easy to quash, especially in dictatorships. We have been infiltrated by those who look like us and work like us but are feeding back. We call them moles who take back the news. Prison is every day. We go to jail and we come out. And I think that there is a space for artivists using creative license, poetic justice, to employ language, first of all, that will shake and grab the attention of the oppressor. Because the dictators have, yesterday I was talking about they have domesticated policy talk, diplomacy, but they will stop for a while and laugh at a metaphor. They will stop and listen to a line or two, especially if we share them and we recite them. And I think social media keeps us safe. Social media opened up a space where we could organize away from their control. In Uganda, what's happening is we have a social media tax. Do you know about it? Do you have a social media tax in Kenya as well? Oh, you guys are, I need a Safaricom line. I just need somebody to be topping it up with airtime for the month, right? Because we cannot go online without paying the social media tax. Now that is 2018. This month, we have the social media tax is 200 Uganda shillings, which is very little per day. But this month, we have a new introduction of an 100,000 Uganda shilling registration fee for everybody who has a YouTube page, Facebook Live, pictures, words, photos, videos. We cannot freely write without authorization. We were given 25 days to register and get authorization. Will Stella Nyanzi be given authorization? If she's given authorization and she writes a birthday poem to Yoweri Museveni, just like the one I did, what are the chances that my license will not be revoked? Yeah. Okay? So you think you don't have democracy? Come to Uganda. Tweeting, you're going to need 100,000 shillings. Now, in my case, I have a Twitter account, a Facebook account, an Instagram account. I'm running a campaign. We were thinking of opening up YouTube, okay? Flickr, I hear this Flickr and Snapchat and all those sexy new apps. WhatsApp as well needs to be registered. That would be about 1 million shillings, right? Because if there are 10 outlets, it's 1 million shillings, right?
True.
How are poor Ugandans who are participating in the elections, such as myself, going to afford those exorbitant taxes? Rallies and public meetings for politicians have been outlawed because of COVID-19. And so I don't know how we are going to partner in East Africa so that those of you in Kenya, Tanzania, and the other spaces can help articulate our voices, which are soon getting choked out of every social media platform. I think it's important to make a call to those of you who love freedom of expression and democracy and free internet and digital freedom in Uganda. You need to help us. You need to partner with us. You need to cover our voices, especially in the season we're going into of election violence. How do I take that picture and share it of, I don't know what, a policeman brutalizing voters if I don't have authorization? And so I know I've kind of digressed away from poetics and creative language, but I think freedom to be a poet, a poetess, freedom to share my work on YouTube is being threatened by a regime that does not want us to speak. I think they realized Stella Nyanzi will continue producing poetry, even in jail, so let us just choke her voice completely. And if we don't protest or find ways again, we have VPN. Do you guys know VPN? Okay, so you're ahead. Because remember in the elections of 2011 in Uganda, they just switched off the internet. Okay? And so we need to work around freedoms, complete freedoms, particularly digital freedom. But what was your question? So I can answer it?
I think you have sort of alluded to it. I was talking about freedom of expression, and I think you have really talked about, you know, us collaborating, because also in Kenya we are being introduced digital economy tax. It's actually supposed to start in January 2021. So anyone who is using YouTube, you know, any digital platform. So I think that's a very valid point that we need to sort of come together and see how we can be able to advocate for some of these issues.
Can I just quickly say that freedom of expression is freedom of expression. It's not freedom of expression. It is not freedom of expression as long as it's holy or as long as it's moral. Freedom of expression is freedom of expression. And so I have creatives, I have other poets and poetesses who have said, you can invite her, but tell her not to say these words. Tell her not to say these things. Tell her to bring her cleaner poems. And so I'll perform a clean poem as we are running a PowerPoint presentation of my dirtier poem. So at least you can see the graphics. You know what I mean? But freedom of expression, particularly for those of us who have poetic justice, who have creative license, but also academics who have academic freedom. Freedom of expression is freedom of expression. It's not freedom of expression to just praise those in leadership. Some of us have decided to be the rebels who will take on the cause for whoever else in the nation. So allow us to be poets or poetesses alongside you. In my country, I know that the official poets, so there are the official poets, then there are others like us who are forcing ourselves onto poetry. And the gatekeepers are so severe. I hope it's free in your country, because they want me to come with a poem that will not make their space opposition space. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So just tell me, Stella Nyanzi, go and die. Die with your poetry, right?
Yeah.
Or don't come and fuck the president. I want to fuck the president every time I have an opportunity. But they want me to come and just make love to him. I want to fuck him like he's fucking us, you know? But they say that word fuck cannot enter this room. And I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm coming in. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean, guys, yeah? And I celebrate this space, although it's a temple and a shrine where words exist. Let all the words come in. Or shut them up. I don't want to be given a little freedom. That was in prison. And so when I'm writing graffiti with stones into the walls of prison, I'm actually writing words like fuck oppression. And that is enough, those two words. Fuck prison, torture of prisoners. That says a lot. And so I was just saying to you, freedom of expression must be freedom of expression, because we have gatekeepers even in the community of creatives. It doesn't have to be dirty like mine, but let it be free. Whatever freedom means for whoever is creating that freedom, let it be free.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that response. As I was reading the pieces of work and interviews that you've done as well, you said that you like going to your kids' event, and especially spoken words event, and that sort of triggered my mind. Are you there to mentor? Are you there to learn? Because also we have artists here, and we are also struggling as Kenyans in terms of, you know, mtu mentality. We have corruption issues. I was just wondering, what would you also say to the poets in the house in terms of just advancing their work to be able to have an impact in the society?
Right, so I got to poetry to heal. When I left prison, I was severely traumatized. I would collapse in the middle of interviews. I would pass out every time I had a siren. I would get very anxious every time I saw people in uniform. And the place where I went to heal, I tried psychotherapy and it didn't work. I tried to go to counselors and it didn't work. And the place where I went to heal was where poets and poetesses congregate in my country. And I found that the purest form of poetry was among young people. I have children. My daughter is 15, and my twin sons are 13 and 13 because they're twins. And so I didn't go into that space to mentor. Like I say to you, nobody in Uganda who is upright, moral, conservative would want me to mentor anyone. Huh? Okay? No, like seriously, I'm the shame of the nation. I am the woman you should not be. I'm the bad example. I'm the fallen apple. I'm the desecrated sinner I'm public enemy number one, so they don't want me to mentor anybody. Police come into places when I'm performing and they shut them down. And so for me, this is like so, oh God, I'm so free here in Kenya. Oh God, I'm so free. Because you don't know what freedom means, you guys. You have so much freedom here. The police haven't come in one time. So I don't mentor anyone. I sit with my poems and run mad and just write. And when I go into spaces, I have learned not to pollute them, to just sit and receive and be affirmed. And once in a while, there are poet clubs where people say, "Ah, there she is, Stella Nyanzi, come. And then people come and present their poems to me. I wrote this when you're in jail. I wrote this, you inspired me. I got courage from you. But no, I'm not mentoring anybody. If I mentor people, I'll say to them, it's dangerous, be careful, okay? My work was banned from the university. A student who's doing a master's program failed to get supervisor because he wanted to study my poetry. I know that there's a huge debate today in my university where one professor has taken 6 poems and he asked me to perform 2 from my book written in prison, because there's a whole discussion about how to handle my poetry when university students want to study it for their masters and PhD. So no, I'm not mentoring anybody right now. I think I need mentorship by the other poets here who live in free societies. How do you do what you do? PEN International runs a prisoners writing group. Even in that prisoners writing group, I was banned because they don't want prisoners who are learning to write poetry to write like I do. And so for me, Kenya has been very, very healing. I will not cry, don't worry, and I will not collapse. It's the first time I've tried to do poetry on camera with an audience and not cried and not passed out, because it's still quite pain, not bad pain, but there's a pain around poetry and the nation. Why should, who said just now? Yes, what's his name? The guy in a dress, a long dress. Mufasa said, why should poetry be for activists? This is what we do, to write freely about whatever we want to write, be it food, be it trees, be it lights, be it God knows what, your beret. We should be able to write freely, and it shouldn't be an act of protest or whatever. Why have we been squeezed so much? Why? It should be what we do every day, to wake up and say, let's be free. I think, don't you think? And so for me, the insistence on writing, particularly in prison, was a lesson. You guys think you put me away because of one poem here, 160 fucking poems. They're not perfect. They're not perfect. Caroline knows they're doing a second edition, and the book she's sharing is a second copy, which has been proofread. But we must keep writing. We must keep doing the poetry, reciting it for our own freedom, guys. We really have to. It has an impact. Write whatever you have to write, but write it and recite it, and insist on being on these spaces because they hear us. Record it and share it. You know, like I'm not playing, I'm serious. It changes things. Who was asked about impact? 2 or 3 people were asked about impact. And they said, I don't know. My poems, they offend the president, Bana. You know what it means? For Yoweri Museveni to be offended? This guy murders people and he doesn't get offended. They steal from the public funds and he doesn't get offended. He steals the vote and he doesn't get offended. But a poem, 6 paragraphs, or they're called stanzas or verses in poetry. 6 verses of poetry. And he came after me and he publicized how he is choking space, freedom of speech for Uganda. My case is about him advertising how suffocating he is. And so please, poets, write. The topic is what? Power of poetry in shaping democracy and rights narratives in Africa. Me, I'm a symbol of power of poetry. I'm not a poetess like you. Oh, guys, I'm not perfect. My stanzas don't rhyme. I can't recite. I can't memorize. But I insist on being in the spaces because poetry is powerful. They may not recognize us today, but they will recognize us. That one poem will go to State House like mine did. You will be arrested. They will imprison you. They will detain you. They'll even convict and sentence you. But one day you'll be acquitted. And they'll say, come, Stella Nyanzi. Come to Maguezi Theater. And you're a star poet. And I'm like, a star poet? Hey, how? And then there'll be people saying, your poetry inspired me. Your poetry said it's possible. Don't write like me. I'm dirty. I'm the dirty old woman. Okay? Don't be dirty like me, but do something. I'm using vaginas. Use whatever it is you have. Use the metaphors you have. Those are the ones I know. My vagina is my power. Pussy power. Where's the lady who promised me a pussy power t-shirt? Yay! But you know what I'm saying? I know we've run out of time, way out of time. If I die as I go home, let the poets arise. You are doing amazing things in Kenya. Spoken word. I wish I could do spoken word. I wish we had a stage like this. You guys have the freedom. Use it while you still have it. Right? Shall we finish?
Yes, yes.
Do you have more questions?
Maybe we can take 2 questions. Just a maximum of 2. Okay. Just very short. Keep them short. So we'll have you and then Boniface.
Hi. It's a pleasure to hear you perform and talk about your experiences. Hi again. It's a pleasure to hear you perform and talk about your experiences. You're very open, and I think your experiences have shaped you in a very positive way. I'd just like to find out what your commentary is in regards to hierarchy in feminism and in the activism world, because it would seem, according to the naysayers, that your life is a contradiction. You're a single mother, you're this. They definitely expected something else, but you're a contradiction of all of those aspects. And could you also talk about your personal life at this juncture? How has your imprisonment affected that? Your relationships, even. Thank you.
Yes, yes, please. Okay.
Hi, Stella. I came to pick you up. We go drinking. Oh, I know you. Yes, hi. So you're gonna go drinking tonight. Now, I wanted to find out. So you were in prison and you refused to leave on principle because you said, if I go home on cash bill, they can always come back and pick me anytime they want. So you told Museveni to give you the power of you arresting me anytime you feel like, and you said, I'm going to stay in jail until I get acquitted by the courts, which was very commendable. The question is, how did you maintain your mental sanity in jail?
Thank you, Boniface. Boniface is also the founder of Power 254, the shrine, the temple. Yes, and we appreciate him for founding this place.
Boniface is amazing. He took me to drink whiskey the first time I drank in Kenya. And I had been a titular for a long time. And he gave me shots. And I was saying, I want a fuck. I want a fuck. I really wanted a fuck. But Bonnie, I did. I really wanted a fuck. No, but seriously, I'm that human, yeah? I'm that human. I get drunk and lose my nuts. And he's asking me about how I maintained my mental sanity. Am I sane, Boniface? I don't know. The country, the DPP in DPP, you know DPP? Yes, so the DPP in my country applied to the High Court to give them an order to subject me to involuntary mental exam, because for them it takes a mad woman to write the sorts of poems that I write. When I refused bail, that is misrepresentation. You cannot refuse what you have not been given. In my country, I have to apply for bail, and then the magistrate or judge decides at their own discretion whether to give it to me or not, right? So I would be at the mercy of the magistrate or judge. I refused to give the state that power. I refused to apply for bail. They were dying because they are used to activists who get arrested, spend 2 or 3 days or a week in jail, apply for bail, and go home. And I was like, you think you're going to arrest me and I'll be like those cowards, those weaklings? You arrest me, we go all the way. If I am guilty, if I did anything wrong, come and try me. And they thought I was joking. But that was my position, that actually, how do I go home and think I'm free when the next post I write, I'll be arrested again? How can I live under that sort of bondage? How can I go home and be told you can't write? How did I maintain my mental sanity? I think I covered up for so long. That is why I had these traumatic breakdowns when I was released. I refused. Boniface visited me in prison with his wife. And the time they came, I just left solitary confinement. I think I was the longest in solitary confinement. And the time they came, I dressed after 2 weeks of nakedness and sleeping on a wet floor. How does one keep sane during that time? I used to dance and shout loudly, sing reggae music loud at night when I'm naked. Maybe I was insane. But I kept protesting. There's no counseling. They have these psychiatrists who come and inject anyone who's suspected of mental illness with psychogenetics that make them zombies. You're just like for a month, and they come and give you another injection. So for me, I refused to go to their it was really a psychiatric clinic. I think the rage kept me sane, the writing kept me sane, the friends, the support, the collaborations kept me sane, but I got to a place where I was thinking, maybe I'm insane. When you listen to your tormentors long enough, very soon you begin to you become your own tormentor. And I think that the insistence on I will not be broken was mainly made through writing, and maybe that's why they kept confiscating my writings. They confiscated them, and what would tear me apart was when they'd burn them right before my eyes. You know, they'd call me and they'd say, this was found in your pillow. I thought putting it in my pillow was safe. And then they'd make me sit on the floor and watch them burning piece by piece by piece in their dirty offices. I don't think I stayed sane, Boniface. I don't know if I stayed sane. After prison, I was given access to psychotherapists, and the counseling didn't work for me. And again, I went to writing and poetry. The question about how prison affected my relationships, I was surprised that my lover, I told you about having a young lover, right? He's younger than me by more than 10 years, and that's a crime, because in Uganda, when I was single, they said I was a lesbian. When I got a partner, they said now she's eating young chickens. Moriabuto, they call me an eater of young chickens. I love chicken. I'll eat it old and I'll eat it young. As long as it's chicken that's above 18 years old, I'll be eating chicken. But my lover, who was the father of my unborn child, he waited for me. Among the poems that I wrote were poems written by prison women of anxiety. Are you going to wait for me? Who is covering you tonight? Who is helping you with your boxer shorts? You know, and he came and visited me in prison, and I say to him, I'm not going to put a padlock on your loins. Go and find another lover. Go and find another woman. And he waited, poor guy. I'm not sure he was celibate, but I don't care. He waited. And then he proposed to me the first week after I was released from prison. What is surprising is prison did not break our relationship. What broke our relationship was politics. He's in another party that's different to mine, and we're not talking anymore. We haven't spoken since the day this new party was introduced in my country. And he went to the new party, and I stayed in our old party. So I've written a poem called There Are No More Orgasms in My Bed. I lost my lover to the revolution, my sister. My children, relationships with my children became stronger, although they were also traumatized. When they came to visit me in hospital, in prison, one of my sons would get very ill immediately after. They would cry on the way home. I found out after my release. My driver, who's been their driver for 13 years, is sitting in the audience. He had to become a big brother to my children. The woman who's cooked for us, she's cooked for us for 8 years, Rhoda. She had to become the mother, the cook, right? My children hated me for a while. Totally hated me. And I've been reading, they're writers, they write poetry. I've been reading their poems, and some of them were poems of shame. Some of them were poems where they're thinking, Mommy, you rejected us. How can you love Uganda more than your children? Who are you leaving us for? They will murder you. Who will be there when we are orphans to raise us? That sort of poetry. But later on, they began to catch up with the plot, and they explained my imprisonment to other people. My sons have become my protectors. They want to guard away any new lovers, because now that I'm running for office and people know that my younger lover has gone, they're also applying, including Kenyans. My relationships with my siblings are troubled because they were taking care of the children, right? My children go to private school. They live in a rented house that needs electricity and water and rent, and we have a car. And my sisters had to take over all those costs. Towards the end of my imprisonment, we got some funding supporting prisoners who have children. And I appreciate the funders, those who help human rights defenders. But that funding was really for me. They forgot I had children. They forgot I have a driver who's been imprisoned 8 times alongside me. And in prison, when the men are arrested, their balls are squeezed. Okay, so he's got a wife who has a husband who has squeezed balls. Right, so when you take care of just Stella Nyanzi, there are so many other people in her life. The cook, they know she's the one who cooks my food. If they want to poison, they'll poison me through her. And so some of my relationships are more strained because I'm kind of ashamed. Some of my family who are not immediate are embarrassed to be around me. They don't know how to deal with me. But slowly by slowly, people are beginning to see the bigger cause, the cause around freedom, right? So I lost some, I gained many others. Some became tighter, some just fell off. The question about feminism, I'm a bad woman. I'm happy to be a bad woman. What was your question? Different shades of feminism.
The hierarchy and probably the lack of...
I hate hierarchies. I hate hierarchies because some of our worst oppressors are fellow women. Some of our worst... I don't do feminism 311, which is Western and everything. I don't believe that academic feminists necessarily know it all. Sometimes the ghetto feminist is the real feminist to follow. And so I think that while, yes, clap, clap, clap. No, but what I mean is that I am now looking at poets and creatives and musicians and dancers on the outlines doing feminist action, because there's a lot of theorizing there that we must tap into. Hierarchies are important, but hierarchies can be oppressive. I think we need structure for order. We need structure for accountability. We need structure to organize. But structure can also be very binding. It can be very bureaucratic. The red tape can be disempowering, right? And so a balance of both. We need some hierarchy to organize us, but I think when hierarchy becomes exploitative and abusive, those feminists in high heels who get so much money and do nothing for us, but they want reports and they come and they take our pictures and we smile and they take them in their reports, that has to be questioned and debunked. Have I said enough? We can do a feminists in democracy another time. We had women in democracy.
Yes, yes.
I think some of the problems we have are really around feminisms. And there's not one feminism, right? I'm a radical queer feminist. Many feminists, I've heard of Christian feminists and reformist feminists. Me, I'm radical and I'm queer. And I like intersectionality. The problem is when it's hierarchical, when it has to be negotiated intersection. Which component? Right? When we prize queerness over womanness, when we prize, like I love intersectionality. The problem is when identity politics is then hierarchized, there's a problem, right? And so I think what I'm saying is feminism is good, but let us also be cautious of how oppressive and exploitative and patriarchal it can be. Sometimes we reproduce patriarchies and misogynisms within our own feminisms. But that's too academic, so let's go back to poetry. And I think it's good to be a poet who can also be academic.
Yes.
They thought we are just loafers and people who are high and I don't know what. But we can be academics and poets as well.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. You speak truth to power. Another round of applause for Stella. Shouts! Woo! Amazing. Please have a seat. Thank you so much, Stella. I hope this temple, this shrine was, perfect for you to heal. And also, I hope also the poets in the house and everyone in the house has been inspired. And we thank you so much. It was great having you. Oh, yeah, please. Caroline is from HBF. Please come on stage.
Just 1 minute, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sure. Please come on stage.
I feel like this is not my place. This is a poet, and I'm not a poet. Good evening. I was asked to give one sentence on the book. Yes, we did the first copy. It was on our social media. I know a lot of people requested for it, but unfortunately we were not able to share then because we did the copy to counter a lot of things, including some of the things that Stella has spoken about. And when she came out, the first thing she did after reading our book was, "These are too many typos." And we had to change the book. However, really, the book had typos, so we had to do a second edition, which will be ready by end of next week. And any one of you willing to read the book can come to our office on Professor Wangari Maathai Road, Heinrich Ball Foundation, and you will get a free copy.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Caro. I have the participants list, so I'll also see how we can also help the logistics in terms of accessing the copies. Thank you so much also for just taking care of printing the collection of the roses from my mouth, is it?
No roses.
It's the collection from the prisoner.
But it's not roses. No roses.
No roses, yeah, sorry, no roses from my mouth. So at this point, I would like to welcome Catherine from Forum Civ to give us a closing remark. Karibu sana.
Okay, I don't know where to start, but as I sat there, I said I cannot finish. After a poetic afternoon, and thank you, Stella. I'm just glad that we made the decision to have you here. We took a bold step. I think we didn't know how it was going to work out. There's a lot. I think when you write about the story of how you got here and how it all started, the sleepless nights, people at the border the whole night, waiting, and then finding you here. And I hope you get back home safely. We pray so. And I think the moment the tweets started going up, then there was all interest and media. And I'm glad as Forum Civ we've been able to achieve what we do. We work towards creating a platform. We work towards creating spaces. But I want to read a piece. After listening to 5 pieces here of poetry, hata mimi niko na yangu. I cannot live here without a moment of fame. So I have tried. And I hope if I spend time with Mufasa, with Goofy, with Kikete, with Javan, with who else? Anthem, Spontaneous. I can say, kwa majina naitwa Kathy. Mwanaharakati. Sijapitwa na wakati. Kama umati wa kina Kibaki. Naelewa autocracy. Si democracy. Wala meritocracy. Meshika hapo. Tuachane na hii fallacy. Zinazoezana na wafuasi na waasi wetu. So if I keep trying, sintakuwa hapa. Next time I will be here like Mufasa and trying to say and also saying all those things. So big up to all of you guys. I'm so happy. And I think before we conclude, I want just to invite Jackson Obare, our hub manager, and big up to the Forum Civ team. Big up Power 254, for giving us this space, Bonnie, and all of you. So Jackson, to say a word, then we'll proceed. Mwikali, be on standby. We promised ourselves pussy power, some things. So I'm happy I can say this word here. Probably I didn't say it before I got here, but now I can say it. And probably my kids are watching, but I'll explain when I get home.
Thank you so much, Catherine, and thank you so much for having this opportunity to listen and really, keenly listening and also watching. from Monday. You know, we've been having so many sessions the week of democracy. And I think I want to really appreciate the team that has been here, quite patient. You know, the sessions I planned for 2 hours, but you are seeing people sitting for 4 hours, isn't it? A whole day, because it started this morning. So that's really, I lack words because I see the young people with the energy and the determination. But I want to say one thing. In early 2000, or before the millennium of 2000, the UN sat and designed what they call Millennium Development Goals, which ended, do you know which year? 2015. And in these goals, they had all the goals, and there was the last one called, I don't know whether you know, what was the last goal? Partnerships, isn't it? Strategic partnerships. And then we did not achieve a number of them. We also ticked boxes for some, but then we have another phase called SDG 2030, Sustainable Development Goals 2030. So in the next 10 years, we are expecting also to make several milestones. And in these goals, we have SDG 17, again, talking about strategic partnerships. And I want to emphasize that the reason being, when we are talking about the Democracy Week or International Day of Democracy, you are not celebrating one person. There has to be so many actors, so many prayers that have to come together. And when I see the artists, I hear them say, from 001, I don't know whether it is him, but somebody said, it's not a platform. When you call them, you are saying you are offering them for a platform. But you are offering partnerships, because through these platforms, you are able to create many partnerships that will also take us to the next level. So I want to say that let's join together as strategic partners in different spheres of socio-economic and political, so that then we are able to push the democratic agenda forward and all other social and economic aspects of our lives. I want to thank you and appreciate Stella for coming. And I'm happy that I've not been called by the border police that you know, can you explain why Stella has to be in Nairobi? And I hope I'll not be called when you are going back. Thank you, Boniface, for such amazing venue, for this continued support to do these events. And as I know we have tomorrow, but this is the nice one to be physically here today. And as we go virtual tomorrow, I want to again welcome you so that you are able to end the week. And several events that are going to come. Maybe Stella would join us from Uganda in other forums that we are going to bring on board in the coming months. And also welcome everybody to be in our Voices in Spaces event that is going to come. Still we continue, democracy is still continuing, this drive for democracy in this country and Africa as a whole. Thank you so much, Stella, and I wish everybody a nice evening.
Thank you, Jackson. I welcome Wikali. Where are you with the gifts? You said Stella has to go back with a T-shirt.
Hi, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you for Steve, Catherine, Augustine, and Jackson for this opportunity. And also being in that platform where you can talk about feminist politics and radical feminist politics. Not most people allow us to be in those spaces. So I'd like to call on both Stella, Jerry, come here, on both, and you, Kathy. Maybe you stand here. The reason why I'm calling the three of them, first I got the opportunity to watch Softy. You have to know this, Jerry, amongst the group. And when I saw Jerry what she was going through, maybe some of you will see, and the support system you gave to Boniface during that period, even denying your own being Jerry, I even cried. And the fact that we needed to identify you as Jerry, for me that is pussy power. Like I really value it a lot. And that's why I'm calling you on board. And keep doing what you do and continue being Jerry. There's no Boniface without Jerry. Like this one I'm saying, Bonnie, uliangukia. uliangukiwa. So for me, since feminism has no boundary, and it's of collecting sisterhood, love, solidarity, that's for you. Continue with that, pussy power. I am Kathy to you for opening up the space, and I'd said this, and this forum, I've seen it to be different, where it has been locally organized by grassroots youths. True or false? Like, it was done in a manner you don't feel pressure. You are being, because most of the time when you do our work, people sort of have this tag, you have to be in certain, we have to do certain, blah, blah. But you made us to be our being without respectability politics. Thank you for doing that. Continue doing that with support of your team, Forum Civ. That's what we call feminist agenda. So you deserve your feminist t-shirts. Yeah. And Pussy Power, continue pushing those doors and making people uncomfortable. Stella, when you're in prison, most of us were looking up to you. Now this is the ghetto of feminism. This is the ghetto of feminism, and through the ghetto of feminism, when we came with this radical agenda in this country, Pussy Power, through also a support of different sisters from Africa, all over, and Sweden also, because it was a co-created of different feminist sisters. We hear you, we love you, continue doing that, continue pushing, even in campaigns, Pussy Power. So to this, we give you, you wear it in your campaign, all the best, hope to see you in Uganda. Yeah, so I'll call also Wendy. You can come on board. And for those who have Pussy Power t-shirts, we take a group picture. Yeah. Yeah. Pussy. Power. With the left. Pussy. Power. Wanaume mmenyamaza. Boni, pussy. To the allies, pussy. Power. Yeah, pushing forward with the feminist agenda. I think there's an extra large. Is it? Yeah. 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 Good, Wendy. And Wendy for climbing elephant hills on behalf of Team Pussy Power. It was hard, but she climbed. So power to you. Wow. So, I'm Twimby Ata. And maybe to the organizer, Jackson, can join us. Team, I'm gonna go. Augustine, kuja huku mbele, Boni. Akapi Mary amejificha. Ziki. Yeah. Mbuki, wacha tukilenga kuja huku. Yeah. It's our collective power.
Thank you so much. Mwikali has a way of just exciting us and making us finish very well. So I just want again to thank our audience, and just for those who are asking probably who Forum Civ is, because I think we've been talking about Forum Civ the whole 5 days, like 4 days now. On the 5th day, we are a Swedish platform organization based in Sweden and working. We have a membership of our 140 organizations, and what we do, our work typically is what we are doing here. We organize, we enable people to organize themselves to be able to claim their rights. So we provide the space, and that's typically what we've done today. The events of these 4 days, just defending democracy, is what we do. And of course, we have our different back donors who support us. Mainly then our funding comes from the government of Sweden through the Swedish Embassy here in Kenya. So we are grateful for that, and big up to the Swedish Embassy for supporting us through the Wajibu Wetu program. Today, the afternoon was about power of poetry in shaping democracy and rights narrative in Africa. Tomorrow we finish by a session on media. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to meet here, but we are doing it virtually. So please keep following. The hashtag is defending democracy. Please keep following, and all these sessions we've had the whole week are available on YouTube, on our social media platforms on Facebook, so keep following. Stella, again, Dr. Stella, thank you. Thank you so much. I think you've ignited some boldness in us. Probably sometimes we ask ourselves, we are out here working, but probably we are not bold enough. So I think if there's anything I've learned from you this week is be bold. Stand for what you believe in. And we don't have to be a Stella, but we can learn from you. I think that's what today we've spent a very good day with the young people. I was telling them over lunch that I'm young at heart. I think in the room I discovered, maybe now you've come, I don't know how, but in the morning I was the only one who was above 41. So it felt a bit weird, but I was happy to be in the group, and I'm happy that we've been able to learn. So we want to thank you for the participation. Keep tweeting. Thank you for Amsiv team. Thank you Power 254 again. Thank you Siasa Place. Thank you everyone who has worked with us, and I hope that we can finish the week, and let's keep on the work of defending democracy. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Yeah, thank you.